comic enthusiasts! Welcome back to HC Comics, your gateway to the colorful and captivating world of comics. Today, we're embarking on the next exciting chapter of this comic series together. Wishing you all some relaxing moments as we dive into HC Comics adventure. Returning to the main developments of the story, in this episode, we start with the scene.
Hi all. This is the first part of the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy watching. The reporters did not lag behind, surrounding the hunter Kim Jun-woo with questions. After all, he became the first SSS-Ranked hunter in the world. He became the #1 ranker and in less than a year rose to the very top of the world rankings. There were rumors that he even received an offer from the Hunter Association. This time he got a dungeon with a high level of danger. The reporters did not stop and tried to ask the player as much valuable information as possible. He had not had such operations for a long time, and he did not want to tell everyone about it. For journalists, this was an opportunity they could not miss. But the guy was decisive and was not going to make a speech in front of them. He only shared that now all his attention is focused on the raid. For the crowd, his appearance in the media is a real harvest. Finally, he notified everyone that the safety of residents was the first priority for his team and that would never change. His team headed towards the exit, everyone admiring the hunter. Kim hoped that this information would be enough to maintain a positive image for a while, when one guy in the crowd puzzled him. He asked about the situation with the attack on the cleaning team. It is said that the great hunter attacked one of the members of the cleaning crew, throwing the man and slamming him into the wall. Kim was shocked by these words, while the guy grinned, trying to tease the hunter. The guy claimed that the person who beat Kim was his close acquaintance. He was amazed at his influence, because the guy beat up a man old enough to be his father, but not a single line was written about it. Ranker #1 is amazing. There was a whisper throughout the crowd as everyone discussed this news. Citing slander and rumors, the hunter walked away while a guy from the crowd shouted at him, wishing him luck. Korean Association for Supernatural Change Management, short name, Association. This organization is for the protection of the state and citizens from dungeons and monsters. This association brings together people with unusual abilities and is divided into 4 teams. Among them is a task force engaged in practical raids. In short, these are hunters. And among hunters, the first operational team is considered the most elite. Their performance is simply incredible. There is a 100% probability of successfully clearing dungeons. The team members are high-ranking hunters, and the leader of this team is Kim Jun-woo. The hero was scrolling through the comments in the news headlines. Everyone was actively discussing the story of the attack on a member of the cleaning team. The exposure of the world's first hunter Kim Jun-woo. He was furious that this bastard dared to say such a thing. His assistant did not understand his dissatisfaction at first, because their raid was very successful. To which he yelled at her, as he had previously asked that no one find out about this. Someone leaked the information, and the internet started a commotion. Where did this guy even come from? He was not a reporter. The girl said that according to rumors, that guy is the son of the leader of the dungeon clearing group, Park Gun-tae. But this is not his only problem. Now various evidence of past incidents has begun to surface in society. The situation is likely to get worse. The guy needs to avoid the hype and better sit at home. Kim had no plans anyway, but he was angry that someone was trying to get in his way. He yelled at the girl to solve this problem before his reputation finally suffered. His patience was running out, it was like he was talking to a robot. He was interested in what the chairman of the association had to say about this. According to the girl, there were no special statements from him. Perhaps he was waiting until the situation had calmed down a bit. But the guy didn't agree. Most likely he doesn't say anything because he doesn't even want to get involved with him. Suddenly he stops communicating with him altogether. Kim has earned so much for him and will not tolerate disrespect. The girl hastened to reassure him, since despite public opinion, his rating remains unchanged, as does the job offer. When the guy finally saw all these articles after the raid, he got really angry. He was already shaking. He pounded the walls out of helplessness. He was about to rush in search of that same reporter, but the team members stopped him. They forcibly put him in a car and sent him to the association. He calmed down, but still all his anger did not subside. Kim tried so hard to get out into the world. First he was the youngest hunter, later the first to achieve SSS rank, and finally became number 1 in the ranking of the country and finally the world, thanks to which he received an offer from the International Hunters Association. In a short time he achieved successes that would take several years to achieve. It would be strange if he didn't get angry when they tried to block his path. As soon as they arrived at the association, the guy decided to find out more about Park Geun-tae and settle everything before there was a fuss. While he was thinking, a truck appeared in their direction in the oncoming lane. It was as if she had no intention of dodging, but aimed at their car. The guy used his newfound timing skill and at the last second they managed to avoid the crash. He was already in a lousy mood that without thinking, he got out of the car and headed towards the driver. Before he could even get halfway to the truck, a super powerful detention device flew at him, restricting his movements, making it impossible for him to move. He was standing motionless when a truck drove towards him from behind at full throttle. Kim was defenseless, he couldn't even use his skills. The second truck pressed him against the first, crushing his spine. He squeezed it so tightly that there was nowhere for it to fall. From such a collision an explosion occurred, from which the silhouette of a guy could be seen. He was covered in blood, but did not give up. This situation was not an accident, someone staged the attack. Armed people with full training and protective shields appeared to his right, and on command they opened fire on the hero. The attack on him was skillfully planned. An ordinary hunter would not even be able to offer resistance and would die on the spot. But he is another matter. Kim has taken part in battles in dungeons 1,000 times, being on the verge of life and death. And he was the strongest. He wouldn't die from such a little thing, at least he thought so until he saw a gun with a blue light. It was a Titan, a super powerful weapon for clearing dungeons. Well, this is a little dangerous, the guy thought before the bullet passed right through his skull. The lungs, heart, liver, brain and other organs suffered fatal damage. Cardiac arrest was recorded. The probability of revival is being calculated. Death confirmed. As a result of death, the conditions for acquiring a hidden skill have been achieved. Hidden skill karma. Thanks to a hidden skill, the hero goes back 10 years. The profession after returning will be determined depending on the karma from the past life. The profession is being established. Profession establishment is complete. The guy found himself in a dungeon with the corpses of monsters. People there were cleaning up the mess and complaining about life. Now his profession is associated with the Korean Association for the Management of Other Dimensions, a member of the dungeon cleaning team. How damn hard it is. The guy woke up again and again from nightmares in which he was trapped and defeated by a Titan. When he woke up, he felt that his whole body was numb, and when he finally stood up, he was horrified by the room in which he was. Yes, a pen for pigs is even better than this closet. This simply cannot be his apartment. This room was even smaller than the toilet in his house. And it's unlikely that this is Director Lee's house. She would never take him to her home. Approaching the mirror, he could not believe his eyes. It was the same person, but 10 years younger. To be more precise, now Kim Jun-woo looked like he did at 28 years old. Having opened the system, he saw the acquired karma skill. This meant that this skill could not be cancelled independently. It was not a dream, he really died. At the age of 18 he became a hunter, and at 28 he had already reached A rank. At the time, he was ranked 22nd nationally and 525th in the world rankings. 10 years ago he was still a hunter, a rising star, whom the public followed with interest. But what does the profession of a cleaner have to do with it? After rummaging through the system data, he found the only way to remove the karma skill. He needs to take the place of Secretary General of the International Association of Supernatural Abilities within 5 years. Upon reaching the goal, his skills will automatically unlock and he will return to life before death. If unsuccessful, Hunter Kim Jun-woo will disappear forever. The guy wondered how this was possible. The International Association of Supernatural Powers is at the head of all associations in the world. The Secretary General in such a place has even more power than the President of the United States. In short, this is the position of the most powerful person in the world. Ranker is not even capable of becoming a candidate, let alone a janitor. This is simply impossible. If you do not take into account that he himself does not want this, this is simply unrealistic. He was already thinking about ignoring it, but if he became the CEO, he could survive. Then it is more profitable to be a hunter and gradually rise higher. Moreover, with his skills it shouldn't take much time. But it turned out that all his hunter skills were closed. What kind of karma is this? The hero has unlocked a passive skill called misophobia. Effect: clean up, idiot. Yes, you can't even dream. He died, and when he woke up, he found himself in the past. In an instant, he went from being an SSS-ranked hunter to being a cleaner, and all his skills were sealed. All his achievements disappeared at once. Was he really going to have to do the cleaning? But he quickly dismissed those thoughts. After all, he was an SSS rank hunter and he still had pride. To begin with, he decided to find out what kind of freaks were who finished him off. They were not ordinary soldiers. Maybe a private guild, the guy suggested. Or they were people from the association. The guy's phone rang, an unknown caller. A certain Park called and asked why Kim didn't show up for work. The guy was already an hour late. Other cleaners stood next to the boss and made fun of us as a guy. He had only worked for a day and was already tired, at least he could have called and warned that he would not be there. Kim heard all this and no matter who he is now, he will not allow some cleaners to belittle him. It looks like he really is dead, since the cleaners are making fun of him. The boss allowed the guy not to come, asking him to warn him in advance if he didn't come. The man said that Kim could write to this number and told him to sign the contact as Park Gun-tae. The guy perfectly remembered this name from a past life and decided to meet this man as quickly as possible and headed to work, taking his uniform with him. At first the hero was surprised when he did not find normal clothes at home, and then he was surprised when he left the house and did not find his Mercedes. He wanted to take a taxi, but his wallet was empty. For Kim Jun-woo himself to ride on the bus is simply unheard of. Now he lives a completely different life. This means that the incident with the beating of Park Gun-tae never happened. Now he has nothing to do with the guy. But if in a past life it was he who killed him, then this changes the whole matter. His death was very strange. Someone staged an accident to attract his attention, and then used a special device to prevent the hero from using his skills to defend himself. And lastly, the gun that was shot at him was not an ordinary weapon. This is a super powerful weapon for attacking monsters. Titanium. This pistol is considered first class among all types of firearms. Its price and quality are amazing. Some dungeon cleaner Park Gun-tae couldn't handle this, but he could very well hire someone to take revenge on me. Moreover, his son also did not like me. It must be how they love to exaggerate everything. I just pushed him a little, and they already called it beating. You should have obeyed from the very beginning. Even then, Park Tung-tae visited Kim. The guy then proposed cutting down the cleaning department, and Puck tried to change his mind, because the management department was listening to him. One word and association will do anything. The man begged not to cut them. Kim believed that rumors would reach the working class that it was he who proposed this reduction in workers. But I didn't think that he would contact him personally. Judging by the look, the cleaner had no intention of retreating. The hero explained that at some moments you need to shed excess ballast, like a lizard sheds its tail to survive. At that time, the association was experiencing financial difficulties. For this reason, management also wants to review the hunters' salaries. The man was indignant that he wanted to fire them because of his own salary. But the association's primary concern is protecting citizens from monsters and dungeons. This is what hunters do. But they will not work without receiving anything for their efforts. Kim voiced his opinion by saying that the cleaners don't do much of anything. They were able to hire workers later, but for now, get used to it. Hak's pride was hurt, but Kim had no intention of changing anything. This should have been done a few years ago, but the guy suffered because of one colleague. The man did not let up and began to whine that his well-being, like that of the cleaners, should be important to the association. He stood on his knees and only infuriated the hero. Kim began to lose his temper. Yes, you should be grateful to the hunters. Cleaners don't fight monsters, risking their lives. You just clean up after them and get paid for it. You're like parasites. Hearing this, Pak furiously grabbed the guy by the jacket, and Kim threw the man into the wall with one easy movement. He already started bleeding from his nose. Well, he did it, he just pushed him. Then the guy called Director Lee and asked him to deal with this scoundrel. He was not hired to solve the problems of the cleaners or anyone else. Now the guy was passing by the yellow level dungeon. It is considered dangerous. There were guards and fencing tapes around. Surely the boss of the dungeon is the Foxtrot Centipede. At the age of 28, he participated in this very raid. It looks like he really went back 10 years ago. Puck called out to him and greeted him joyfully. And finally he met the one who did this to him. It was him, dungeon cleaner Park Gun-tae. An ordinary man over 50 in cheap work clothes. He looked exactly the same as in his memories. He doesn't seem capable of killing a person. The man was more than friendly, even asked if the guy had breakfast. Park praised the guy in front of other employees, saying that from the very beginning he seemed like a conscientious person. Another guy named Han Sang-hyuk, in the dungeon cleaning department number 3, suggested that Kim wanted to skip from the very beginning, but it didn't work out, so he came. Im Hee-jang and Moon So-yeon from the same department did not understand the need for a new employee. There were already 4 of them, which seemed to be enough. But because Kim was late, the team only had 45 minutes to clean up. The hero received equipment and a gas mask. The team was ready to work, but the guy froze, not understanding what the dungeon cleaning team was doing. The Korean Association for Other Dimensions Management has been divided into 4 sections. The management department is responsible for monitoring dungeons and collecting information. The production, supply of weapons and items, as well as the maintenance of general activities is ensured by the Hunter Support Department. Hunters from the Operations Department are responsible for attacks on monsters in dungeons. And also the Dungeon Cleaning Department. The guy had no idea what they were doing. Hee-jang began to treat the passage with the drug, but it was too wide. So-yeon had to check the gas content inside the room. This time the boss turned out to be very large, and cleaning will take longer than usual. They need to hurry. Kim tried to separate from the group, but Chief Park warned the guy about the danger in circular dungeons, where it is dangerous to walk alone. The hero wanted to head to the boss's room, which he noticed on the right hand, but for some reason everyone on the team assured him that the boss's room was in a different place. The rest of the workers thought that the guy simply didn't want to work and was thereby wasting valuable time. One of the workers handed him a card. After clearing the dungeon with the help of the hunters who participated in the raid, a map is drawn up. But according to the recollections of Kim, who participated in this very raid, the boss's room should be in a different place. Very strange. There can be no errors in the map compiled by the management department. The guy said without a doubt that the map was wrong, but everyone decided that he was crazy or stoned. Convincing them, the hero almost let slip that he himself participated in that raid. Even if he says, they still won't believe him. The guy backed down, and they went the same way. Kim asked Chief Park what they had 45 minutes left. It turned out that this was the time before the dungeon closed. All dungeons disappear naturally after clearing. This time is usually 2 hours after the end of the raid. The hero never thought about it, since the hunters always came out right away. For the cleaning team, this time is of great importance. But since the dungeon will disappear anyway, why clean it out? It turns out that the cleared dungeon does not disappear, but is sent to the recreation area until the monster appears there again. If the dungeon reopens and there is a mountain of corpses there, it will be more difficult for the hunters to find their way. After all, the gas that is released when the corpses of monsters decompose is very dangerous. If there are a lot of corpses, this will limit the actions of the hunters. This means it will affect the attack of monsters and clearing. To put it simply, cleaners help hunters focus on the raid and calmly defend dungeons. The man was very proud of his work. In general, their team's main duty is to clear away monster corpses as well as debris inside the dungeon. In addition, they check whether there are any hunters left here and, if this happens, they can save them. The guy realized that the cleaners were not only chilling, but were actually doing something. They reached the boss's room, but beyond it there were only ruins. There really was an error in the map. There were 22 minutes left to clean up. Seems like enough to get the job done. But if they don't make it in time, the dungeon will close with them. And until the next opening is at least a week, if not a year. But the cleaners didn't seem to care at all. Being locked in a dungeon for a whole year. Simply put, this is signing up to die. They're all just out of their minds. Risking their lives for some job as a janitor. Kim wanted to get out of here quickly when the team members started discussing his unreliability. They didn't have much hope for him anyway. It was clear that the guy didn't want to work anyway. It hurt his pride. The guy had 15 years of experience as a hunter, and during this time he never failed a raid. And as a result, he was the first in the world to achieve SSS rank and took first place in the world rankings. No one ever found fault with the dungeons he cleared. He was great. And now he was not taken seriously, and even by some cleaners. Kim decided to show them what he was capable of. The room had a small passage through which you can get to the boss room. Only 500 meters, along this passage they will get there in 8 minutes, and if they run, then in 5. Kim went first, leading them with him. They ran forward at top speed until they saw him. Foxtrot Centipede. A boss monster whose body is about 10 meters long. They found the boss's room. Judging by the state of the room, there was a heated battle here. A team of 20 people, and at least 5 to 6 dead hunters. But they still managed to find his weak spot. It was the bridge of the nose in the hollow right above the huge chin. There was little time left. We needed to start cleaning. Kim stopped the team just in time, because the monster came to life. But this is a real problem. A complete headache. Without skills, it will be difficult for him to attack him. It looks like it passed and it was just convulsions after death. The idiots from the operations department didn't even check everything properly. The janitor behind him thought that Kim was dumbfounded with fear when he first saw his boss. How dare he say that, you idiot. The hero grabbed a knife from the worker and headed towards the monster. It had to be cut, but carefully so as not to dislocate the hand. It is necessary to make cuts between sections 3, 6, and 12. Don't waste your energy, it won't be needed in other areas. His nerves are still alive, you shouldn't pay attention even if he starts to twitch. The teams were stunned by the guy's skill, and when he called out to them, they got to work. Kim knew all the intricacies of working with monsters. You can die from the boss's poison, you can't step on his blood, otherwise you'll get stuck and won't be able to move. The workers even decided that Chief Park showed the newcomer the files of the management department to help him. He denied, but they did not believe him. After all, a beginner cannot know such things. But even if he showed it, these files do not contain such information. The team finished cutting up the carcass, bagging the flesh, leaving only the skeleton of the monster. The hero was happy with the work done, and when he realized this he did not believe himself. He did almost everything on his own. He was even jokingly called a rising star. Employee Sang Hyuk has a competitor. It was time for the team to leave, there were only 5 minutes left and that was enough. They did a good job and were almost at the exit when Kim Jun-woo froze in place. He was stuck to the floor, apparently there was a hole in the bag, and that's where the blood came out. When the cleaners began to fuss, the hero did not understand their exaggeration. The blood of this monster is highly sticky. When he was a hunter, even he couldn't handle her. However, it loses its effect at high temperatures. The guy decided that he could easily get out by using the fire flower skill, but he completely forgot about the stupid restrictions. While he was thinking about how to get out, the members of his team tied a rope around his belt and began to pull together as hard as they could, but he didn't even budge. Time was running out inexorably, 1 minute remained, already 55 seconds. He was asked to take off his suit, but the concentration of gas was too dangerous. The hero did not understand what was going on. It's because he can't move, why the boss says that they can all stay here. A lizard tears off its own tail to survive. Why don't they leave him in this situation? Apparently their intelligence is lower than that of a lizard. Chief Park ordered the team to leave. There were only 10 seconds left. The team left the dungeon and were already waiting outside. And Pak took off Kim's protective suit and gave him his own. They ran as fast as they could towards the exit. The countdown has begun. 3, 2, 1. They made it in time. The cleaners were happy that their boss was okay. And Kim was in shock at this time. He just almost died. In a dungeon without a monster while I was cleaning. Both Jun-woo and Park Gun-tae got away with a big scare. The gas concentration was less than they expected. What a relief. The guy had to work hard on the first dungeon today. You can consider this a training session, because today they still had 5 dungeons waiting for them. In Seoul alone there are 8 teams of the operational department for clearing dungeons. There are 96 of them throughout the country. If you add in freelancers who are not members of the association, there are about 11,300 hunters in Korea. And there are only 5 cleaning teams, that's 25 people. Each team has to clean 3 dungeons every day. If you're unlucky, sometimes there are 5. And today is just such an unlucky day. Okay, today was a bad day, so Boss Park decided to throw them a corporate party in the evening. Usually bosses pay for corporate events, but the team was worried that Puck would have money left on which to live. He was even offered to pay the bill together, but he did not want to lose face. The boss decided to feed the hero for his good work today, but Kim refused because he saw no point in starting any kind of communication with these people, and left. Lying on his bed, the guy realized that in his past life it was not Boss Pack who killed him. He is not so cruel as to kill out of resentment. Then who could it be who had animosity towards him? Maybe it was the junior in the hunting team, Yongguan Mo, whom he constantly scolded. Or Min Eugene, with whom they broke up after almost killing each other. Or maybe Huang Donghee from the management department, whom he constantly pushed like a top 6, did not accept into his team. There were more possible enemies than he thought. If there were only 1 or 2 people under suspicion it would be much easier. But what difference does it make now? Surely the one who killed him did not know him in this life. If he wants to take revenge properly, he must get rid of karma and return to his past life. And for this, the guy needs to become the General Secretary of the International Association of Supernatural Abilities. If the hero still had skills, he could still become a hunter, or find a way to join the management department. Opening the system. He decided to read the conditions for unlocking skills in more detail. Fallen Angel, opening condition: the annual salary of a dungeon cleaning department employee is at least 60 million won. Breaking through boundaries is an opening condition: the level of competition for a position in the dungeon cleaning department is at least 30k won. Omnipotence is a condition for opening: the job of a dungeon cleaner is first on the list of the most desired professions among young people under 30 years old. Whistle, opening condition: over 50% of transition of freelance workers to an official position in the dungeon cleaning department. Demon King, opening condition: unverifiable. In that case there is no need to work as a cleaner, the guy thought until he read all the opening conditions. They were all connected to this damn department. They seem to want the guy to bury himself alive in this cleaning department. He needs to calm down. The passive skill Misophobia was activated and the guy began to get annoyed by the chaos around him. Did he really never clean in his previous life? His dirt was so annoying that he couldn't even rest properly. And suddenly a notification appeared in the system. The first opening condition has been met. Go to work once. Unlocked skill, hyper-acceleration. It's been a week since he's been riding on a packed bus every morning. And also a week since the guy started working as a dungeon cleaner. During this time, Kim managed to clean 25 dungeons, used 6 canisters of the drug, each containing 10 liters, cut 30 monsters and discovered new skills. Such as hyper-acceleration, which causes the user's movement speed to increase dramatically during battle. This is a very effective movement skill, but only when used in conjunction with the attack skill. Because of this stupid rule, the guy couldn't use it while cleaning. It's better than nothing though. In reality, he will not be able to raise his annual salary to 60 million or ensure that this profession becomes the most popular. After all, working as a dungeon cleaner is considered a dangerous occupation. Of course, there were also relatively simple opening conditions, albeit a little abstract. The simplest, perhaps, was increasing the association's interest in the dungeon cleaning department. Once he, a former SSS-Ranked hunter, only used the clearing information accumulated over 10 years, he would quickly be able to increase the interest of the association. Naturally, they will not immediately listen to the words of some janitor. First, he needs to make acquaintance with those who will be on his team in the future and gain confidence. There are more than 10,000 hunters, how can he meet them, the guy thought. At this rate, he'll have to clean for the rest of his life. Damn, he passed the stop. Even though he was late, only 2 of the team were there. The boss left to get the missing drugs, and Jan won't come today for personal reasons. 10 minutes have passed since the start of the planned cleanup, but they still haven't started. Compared to the first day, Han Sang-hyuk's attitude towards him became almost angelic, he even treated him to coffee in the morning. He didn't seem to expect that Kim hadn't missed work even once during the week. The hero was about to start cleaning with an incomplete team, but it turned out that the hunters had not yet finished clearing the dungeon. Apparently, it was a mid-level blue dungeon. It is not so complex that hunters exceed the clearing time. Why are they digging around? Pathetic idiots. The cleaning crew hoped that they would be leaving soon, but their assumption was wrong. Even after 30 minutes the hunters did not come out. If this had happened to him, he would have taken it out on the worthless hunters. Finally they came out, but they were very shabby. It's immediately obvious that the maximum is D rank. They became so limp because of some blue dungeon. What do they just get paid for? His teammates shushed him in case the hunters heard him. And then the guy saw a familiar face. Long black hair, fair skin. Kim Min-ju. At one time she was on a team under his leadership. It seems that she heard his earlier words, then she turned to him, but the hero quickly hushed up the conversation. Damn, why did he meet her? After all, he was racking his brains over how to meet with his former team. But she was an exception. She just hated him for no reason. When Kim asked her to quit due to injury, she covered him with a 3-story mat. She had no idea that it was all for her own sake. In short, she is a very proud girl with a high self-esteem. Although this does not affect her abilities in any way. Apparently, thinking about this, the guy's face grimaced. A girl from the team asked if he knew this huntress, as he was looking at her very intently. She even decided that it was his ex-girlfriend and everyone burst into laughter except the hero. By this time, Chief Pak had arrived with the drug, and they all headed off together to do their work. The blue building-shaped dungeon is literally a dungeon that is located inside a tall building. Before they could get to work, they started asking the guy about this dungeon. He, of course, shared that a boss should look human. Last week they kept asking him about monsters because he knows a lot about them. Of course, this sounds ridiculous, but no one seems to have suspected anything yet. Since this dungeon is located in a building, they may not be able to see some items. Therefore, it is necessary to thoroughly check all corners, especially under stairs, where blood accumulates. Jun-woo went with the boss to the boss's lair. The boss didn't like humanoid monsters. They looked so much like a human corpse. This time it was the humanoid monster Vega. A monster in the form of a girl, approximately 160 centimeters tall. She is small, so it is better not to cut her up, but just take her whole. But the guy was confused by something. In his memory, Vega wasn't such a dangerous monster. If you are more attentive to the speed of movement, then destroying it is not so difficult. Moreover, you don't need additional time. But was it really a tough fight between Kim Min-ju and this monster? 10 years ago, Kim Min-ju had a B rank. In fact, even with this rank, hunters are considered quite strong. If it weren't for the injury, she could have easily reached S rank. And her sword skill at that time was even higher than his. Yes, the girl had a terrible character, but she was quite capable. And she was definitely not someone who would be embarrassed by the boss of the blue dungeon. The boss had already decided that the guy was going to dump all the work on him. And forgetting his previous thoughts, the guy noticed a huge number of small cuts on the monster's corpse. It's already 5 a.m. It seems that the hero slept for only 2 hours. For the 3rd day in a row he has gotten up on the wrong foot. Even as a hunter, he wasn't that busy. How many times has their team been detained by hunters? How long do they have to wait? They are already tired. And even the girl with bags under her eyes was tortured, although she said that everything was fine. She needs to take more breaks. Finally the hunters come out. We were delayed by an hour and a half. And again, this is her team. There are so many dungeons and hunters, why does he always run into her? They locked eyes and found themselves opposite each other. The girl walked past him, indignant that he stood in her way. Nasty girl. He initially thought about warning her about the Vega monster, but decided to forget. As soon as he begins to remember that day, everything inside turns upside down. Then he came to the girl in the hospital to check on her. The girl needed to train her left hand more, but she relied on her own strength. And here is the natural result for her. It was worth resting and not working hard. Hearing this, the girl said out loud why he didn't tell her about it right away. But he considered this impudence on her part and said that in this state she could no longer be a hunter. Kim advised her to quit her job by handing her a document from the association. If she continues like this, she will have to give up not only her job as a huntress, but also her normal life. The girl insisted that her injury was minor, but the guy did not agree. If she stays, she will only become an extra burden for the team. The decision has already been made. She shouldn't have endured the pain, she should have said right away. But the girl could not stand it and shouted at the boss, because she had spoken more than once. And when she said that she needed an examination, the guy said that everyone was in pain and it was time for her to get on with her work. It was because of him that she endured all this time and generally fell into such a state. And now he's telling her to quit her job. But he said that he was not to blame for anything, he was not the one who ruined her shoulder and risked her health. The girl decided to continue working as a hunter, but no one is going to wait for her and work for her. Since she wants to stay so badly, she might as well move to the cleaning department. For him, it was always just a tool that could be thrown away after use. To this he replied that she constantly ignored her superiors. They exchanged barbs and agreed that they hated each other. He was wrong in that situation. She said that her arm hurt, but he didn't even remember that. In general, if not for the injury, she would have been able to achieve a lot. Judging by her gait and movements, she was already developing an illness and this did not give him peace. He called out to her and advised her to train her left hand more. When you hold a sword, you only strain your right arm, so your shoulder suffers. In this position, the attack is faster, but there is too much load on one side. It is necessary to use your left hand, then you will be able to reduce the load on the body. The most important thing is balance. She didn't pay much attention to his words. What does this cleaner even understand? He realized the absurdity of his proposal, and ran into the dungeon to begin work, finally shouting to her to undergo an examination. Even though it was nonsense, she decided to get examined. It can't get any worse. And the doctor said that she came in on time, since the girl had a slight inflammation in her right shoulder. The condition is not critical, but if left unattended, big problems can arise. She was prescribed an anti-inflammatory and advised to move her left arm more. That weird janitor said the same thing. The team finished cleaning and were exhausted. They all did a great job when the huntress appeared nearby. How can you keep your ex-girlfriend waiting for so long? What is she even doing here at this time? The team members whispered and quickly left the couple. Kim was very tired, as he told the girl, especially since he needed to rush to catch the last bus. She said nothing, but pointed her sword at him, asking how he knew about her illness. The hero tried to get out of it by saying that he wanted to show off in front of the hunter and blurted out what he read on the internet. But this cannot be. Since the technique the girl uses is secret information that cannot be disclosed. And the cleaner accurately determined the muscles she uses and her positions. Damn, he shouldn't have said too much, now she suspects him. And it's true, she had a special sword technique, such information cannot be known by some cleaner. She could report to the association and he would be suspected of espionage. Kim shared with her that he saw marks from the sword on the monster's body. The wounds inflicted by the right hand were deep, while the others were lighter. That's how he realized that she lacks strength in her left hand. Vega is a boss that is characterized by attack speed. He poses no other threat. There is a good known attack that uses high speed in reverse. But the guy did not notice any traces of such equipment. Kim decided that such a capable hunter should know this. Therefore, he concluded that physically she was unable to react to the speed of Vega's attack. The girl said that at some point she felt a load on her shoulder. In ordinary life this is not so noticeable, but in a situation where you need to act quickly, it is immediately noticeable, especially when you are a swordsman. The reason why the guy knew all this without being a swordsman was simple. When he was a hunter, he became the first to have all the classes. But the girl suggested something else. He's probably a free hunter. She heard that there are several of these in Seoul. Free A-rank hunter. These are mothers who do not reveal their identity to anyone, while being high-level rankers. Or he is a high-ranking hunter in some private guild. The guy denied that he was just a simple cleaner. Can't you see? He was about to leave. It's immediately obvious what she's trying to achieve. If he turned out to be a successful hunter, she would try to use him. But he is just a dungeon cleaner and they are unlikely to see each other again. The girl thanked him goodbye and apologized for causing him inconvenience. The next day, the girl went to her boss to take leave due to illness. But the boss did not see the need for this. It was the head of the first group of the management department, Lee Soo-young. Last month, he took over through connections whose age difference with Kim Min-ju was only 5 years. When he was a hunter, they could not even imagine this. The girl decided to take a break to improve her skills and learn sword techniques. The boss asked if she had taken any courses. But the girl got ready for individual lessons. Leader Lee was very interested in what kind of master she was studying with. Or he wants to spend time with a guy under the guise of studying. But he was wrong. She chose a janitor from the dungeon department as her teacher. That ugly janitor decided to teach the hunter. The guy had not yet agreed to teach her, but refused the girl, and she decided to ask him until he agreed. The leader got tired of listening to her and ordered her to figure it out herself. The main thing is to return before the start of the next big raid, which will take place in a few weeks. He told her to go, as her conversations were getting on the manager's nerves. What can a hunter learn from a simple cleaner? What will other teams think if they find out about this? Especially if it reaches the leaders of the second team. The thought made the man feel sick, and he decided to contact the director. A few days later, Kim got involved in work. A few days ago, the guy unlocked one skill, namely, the association's interest in the cleaning department was increased. Counter skill unlocked. I wonder why the skill was unlocked. It didn't do anything. While he was cleaning, Boss Park called out to him and asked who the girl was now on his team. Until Jang returns to work, they have a good replacement. But the boss was worried, because she is a hunter and now scrubs floors. The association may have questions. And it wasn't really the hero's decision. The girl just followed him. A few days before, she came to the hero and begged him to teach her sword techniques. Maybe she ate something wrong, there is no other explanation. What kind of hunter would even ask a janitor to teach him sword techniques? He wanted her to leave him alone and decided to come up with conditions that she would not agree to. And he said if she helps him with cleaning, the guy will think about her offer. Surely the B-rank hunter wouldn't want to get away, but the guy missed. The girl immediately agreed to the conditions, and his plan did not work. It seems he underestimated her. He thought that the girl was proud and would not stoop to cleaning the dungeon. But it seems So-yun was not happy about having another girl on the team. Wow. The guy underestimated Kim Min-ju's persistence. He didn't even think that she would follow him here. And during cleaning, when something didn't work out for her, she called him teacher, which he didn't like. But he still gave her instructions on the intricacies of cleaning. For example, if the blood of a monster and human are mixed on the floor, then most likely they will not be washed off. First, you need to remove the human blood and melt the rest with fire. And the burnt pieces on the ground turned out to be the flesh of the monster. It will take a long time, but you need to carefully scrape off the flesh with a dagger in order to use it as medicine in the future. Before each use, be sure to wipe the dagger, as the blood of monsters can corrode it. The girl apparently made a face, since the guy asked if she was disgusted with messing around with it. Surely she will say that this is an unworthy job for a hunter. He really expected this from her. But she unexpectedly said that cleaning is a very important activity. Later, Boss Park approached him and praised him for his excellent work as a janitor. At first he was even embarrassed, but then he flared up with anger. Is he kidding me? How could he be praised for his work as a cleaner when he was previously an SSS-Ranked hunter? The huntress also received praise from the team, despite her short work. Everyone showered her with compliments. Kim Min-ju finished in her sector and turned to the teacher for a new assignment, but she was interrupted by So-yun. I took her hand and decided to use her help. The boss doubted it, because the girls had to remove a lot of corpses. But So-yun convinced him by saying that she would not have the opportunity to work with the huntress again. The girls left, and the guys began to speculate which of the girls would do all the work. Surely the huntress will take everything upon herself. The cleaning lady So-yun didn't even know what to say, even though she brought the girl here herself. The huntress noticed that the girl looked worried and tired. But So-yun turned the conversation to questions about the huntress, so to speak, to get to know her better. After all, this is the first time she has personally communicated with the hunter. Kim Min-ju said that she, like her father, became a hunter, but does not work in tandem with him, since at one time he had a shoulder injury. His superiors always told him to mind his own business and do his job. It is said that members of his team constantly looked at him sideways. He invested so much, fearing that he might be kicked out, that he got injured. So, Yun couldn't believe it, because he was surrounded by colleagues who could help. However, the hunter explained that there were no colleagues in the association. There are only those who are higher or lower in rank. Her father was a B-rank hunter until he was fired. It was just a disposable weapon. These were the internal rules of the association. Hierarchy in an association is everything. The weak are infinitely strong, and the strong are infinitely weak. The rest of the hunting teams think the same. There was silence between the girls. And the huntress broke the silence by asking a question that interested them. Is it true that Seo Yun is interested in teacher Kim Jun-woo? The cleaning lady blushed. Apparently she doesn't know how to hide her feelings at all, and everything is immediately obvious from her. All because the guy showed his good side during this time. He did his job well, and he is also very responsible. Although at first he was lazy on the first day of work, he was completely late on the second. Until recently, the girl wanted to quit, but now she seemed to have a second wind. Plus, he deals with monsters in dungeons so quickly. It provides more accurate data than the management group. Moreover, it even knows what is not in the database. The huntress knew that he was not an ordinary cleaner. There's something about him. Based on several stab wounds, he established the cause of death of the deceased, and even who killed him. In addition, he understands monsters and dungeons better than others. In this case, the huntress should hold on to him with all her might. The girl assured So Yun that in this regard she was not interested in him. In this case, the cleaning lady did not understand why she came up to him every day and spent so much time with him. But the huntress was only interested in the skills and help he could provide. The guys and the boss called the girls over. To which they joked, saying that strong guys cannot cope without the help of girls. Just a couple of minutes passed, and they sang like that. The chief began the instructions by repeating where the poisonous monster was located. He was confident they could handle it, but as long as the monster didn't come into contact with their skin, it wasn't dangerous. So Yun looked increasingly worse and was asked if she was okay. To which she complained about uncomfortable protective clothing and a thick gas mask, in which it was difficult to breathe. And the team supported her. When will their equipment be changed? We need to ask the association to increase the budget. Otherwise, because of such situations, irreparable things may happen. They even use water flasks for several years. But Chief Park assured that they had no money. By continuing to save money, the association is allowing the working class to die. Puck decided to stop their empty talk and opened the doors to the monster's lair. The super slime boss monster looks like a regular slime, but its deadly poison or prolonged exposure to the stench can lead to poisoning. About 5 minutes have already passed, so there should be no possibility of poisoning. But you still need to be much more vigilant. The guy's work was in full swing, everything was according to plan. But So Yun was getting worse. One wrong move and she collapsed unconscious. Everyone was very scared for the girl. She was unconscious and unresponsive. Most likely, the purifier did not work, and the mucus also corroded her protective suit. First, you need to take the girl outside and call the support service. The hero blamed himself for this. It looks like he didn't spend much time preparing, and this is what it led to. It is too late. The support team won't be able to arrive within 5 minutes to give her the antidote. In addition, if the body is poisoned with mucus poison, the body is pierced by unbearable pain, it tears the whole body. The boss kept repeating that the support service would be there soon. But everyone understood that by then it would be too late. Kim Jun-woo stood as if in a stupor and was thinking about something. And he came up with a plan. The guy asked the huntress to get him a sword. Time was running out. One cut and that's it. The huntress begged the teacher not to cut So Yun. There must be another way. Hearing this, the guy was amazed. He didn't plan to hurt the girl. He wanted to be cut. Nobody understood what he was up to. But the huntress trusted him and called on the sword, attacking the guy. The hero did not expect this. A girl needs to learn to listen first and then act. When the system detected the attack, the super acceleration skill was activated. According to the plan, the guy was going to run with the girl to the support team, although it would have taken at least 30 minutes to get there even by taxi. But he managed his skill in record time. Already at the hospital, the doctor hastened to tell them that they made it on time. The girl's wound was quite dangerous, but she is now out of danger. Finally, the doctor told the hero to pay for the stitches he received. Already in the ward, Moon So-yeon came to her senses. The team was very scared for her. For the future, she should speak up immediately if she feels strange. Kim Jun-woo held his ground, but still expressed his opinion. What the hell is this? Who knows how old their equipment is, their protective clothing is torn, and the purifier doesn't do a damn thing. They tried to calm him down, because they were in the hospital and they should be quieter. But the conditions in which they worked were inhuman. It is overkill not to change protective suits at least once every 6 months. But for these hunters, all they have to do is whimper a few words, and their equipment is immediately changed. As soon as he said this, he regretted what he had said, because the huntress was standing very close by. He began to deny it, because the problem was not with the hunters, but with the leadership. The boss gave the girl leave because it was an accident at work. So she has time to rest well and recuperate. The hero could not stand it and left the room to get some fresh air. So-yeon had an accident due to her old equipment. For the new update, the withdrawal condition is to increase the budget of the dungeon cleaning team. It's time to increase your budget. If there is a risk of getting into trouble or injury due to old equipment, then the association will have no choice but to allocate funds to maintain its image. As soon as the ban is lifted, the guy will already have 2 skills. At this rate, he won't last in the ranks of cleaners. The girl in the ward did not understand what caused such an expression on the hero's face. She even thought that she was annoying him, but the boss assured her that the guy was very scared for her. Although he appears to be hot-tempered, he actually cares deeply about his colleagues. This becomes clear when you look at it. The huntress listened to this and her brain worked like never before. To save his colleagues, Kim is ready to give his life. In addition, he is the very person from whom there is a lot to learn. But the guys from the team, watching him, began to notice his strange behavior. Although he hasn't been working as a cleaner for long, the cleaner's skills that he uses are just crazy. So, Yeon began to reproach herself for not having time to thank the guy who saved her life, and even decided that Kim could be offended by her for this. The boss decided to ask what Kim Min-ju thought of him, like a new girl. The girl said he wasn't her type. To which the team was a little embarrassed. That's not what the boss meant. He asked what she thought about his abilities as a hunter. The girl felt a little ashamed that she had thought about the wrong thing. According to the boss, with such abilities, a guy is wasting himself working as a cleaner. He also knows more about monsters than most hunters. The huntress even wondered whether it was possible to move employees. It turned out that this was possible, but very difficult to do. True, this would be a great opportunity for Jun-woo. He is definitely superior to other hunters in skill and experience. Of course, being a B-rank hunter, she is unable to appreciate the teacher's skills. The teacher is the only one who knows his power best. That's why he joined the cleaning team then. What could this mean, the girl wondered. The boss didn't understand, the guy came to work as a cleaner because he liked it. The team couldn't think of anything else. Why does he need this dirty work then? The huntress had a couple of theories. Most likely the teacher has excellent skills, but he does not want to interfere in the affairs of the association, much less interfere in the hierarchy of hunters. Maybe he chose the cleaning team to feel the team's cohesion. If this is true, then it is better not to talk about it anymore. After all, there's nothing you can do about it. True, they could not believe that all this time the hero had such a sense of loyalty towards the team. But something did not give the team member peace. If he has such an opinion about us, then why did Kim Jun-woo join the association because of the incident with So-yeon? The hero dared to meet with the director of the Korean branch of the Functional Change Management Association named So-min Chol. A simple member of the cleaning team appeared before the director. Director Seo-min Chol was amazed by the guy's proposal to increase the cleaning team's budget. This person heads the Seoul branch. Around the same time, people from the Seo-min Chol line took office. One by one they fell upon them. Their influence on the association was enormous. The director advised him to contact the management department. But Kim decided that he could not stop communicating with the lower levels, he needed to go to the boss, he said, using the metaphor of hunters. To which the man was amazed at his impudence. The guy was not even the leader of the group, just an ordinary employee, and he dared to go to So Min Chul himself. Although the director did not intend to hold a debriefing, it was necessary to rein in the impudent guy. And he asked why the cleaning team needed money. They shouldn't have a lot of expenses. But Kim talked about the accident that happened to So Yun. All because of old equipment, but they cannot buy new ones. We have to work with what we have, but it happened that the suit of one team member was torn. Moreover, the gas mask did not work properly, and the monster's venom poisoned the man. The director was surprised, because this was not mentioned in the reports. But the guy stood his ground, realizing that the office was trying to save money on the cleaning department, risking their health. The man denied having any money, citing the guy's recent work in the cleaning department. What can he even know about the association? But he knew a lot. For example, the fact that this year's income amounted to a decent amount, which the director pocketed. The budget for the intelligence department alone amounted to several billion won. Only 70% of this money should have gone to the operational department. Director So Min Chul was shocked. How did this guy find out? Fortunately, the director has not yet spent the entire amount, but he will still have to organize a memorable raid at the end of the year and give back everything he took. So it's better for him to allocate money to the team at least for the most necessary things. The director has only been in his position for a couple of months. And he waited for this for so long and got this place with such difficulty. If rumors spread about the negligent attitude towards the cleanup department, what will the city residents do when they learn that an employee was injured because he spared money on equipment and equipment? The impudent man thought, he dares to threaten him. But you will have to agree to his terms. He asked how much he was asking to increase their budget. But Kim doesn't care. In the conditions for unlocking a skill, only the goal is indicated, increasing the budget. Whether it's 10 won or 100 won, it doesn't matter to him. The main thing is that it becomes bigger. Kim was already heading towards the exit when the director asked if the guy knew the hunter Kim Min Ju. The hero didn't understand what this girl had to do with it, but his reaction was enough for So Min Chul. So I know her. The director promised to consider increasing the budget and contact the cleanup department. That's all. The door slammed shut and the director called Kim Min Ju's boss, Su Young. He said that a guy from the cleaning team came to see him. This seems to be the type that Kim Min Ju wants to learn from. But it's not that simple. This idiot is definitely not one of the cleaners and he is definitely not an ordinary employee. Because he managed to dig up inside information, which means he is related to the association. He also asked for an increase in the budget for the cleanup department, but that's probably not his main goal. He's lucky he's on the cleaning team now, otherwise boss Su Young would have taught him a lesson. So that the guy understands how to talk to management. The next day, the cleaning team received a fine. Not only did they not pay compensation, but they also want to fine them. According to them, the reason for Min So Yun's disciplinary punishment violation of the ban on combined work. The cause of the accident is considered to be overwork due to the girl's second job. They went completely crazy there. The accident claim and request for compensation were rejected. The injuries were sustained as a result of violating the ban on combined work. The fact that the equipment was outdated has not been confirmed. What a creature this director So Min Chul is. So Yun was not particularly surprised, and did not even hope for compensation. They always do this to the cleaning crew. But Kim was worried about something else. A new problem is how he can unlock his skills now. That was all he thought about as the team started praising him for his attempt. After all, out of the entire team, he was the only one who went to the general director. Everyone decided that he acted with good intentions. What's wrong with them? Everyone went crazy. And in high spirits, they all headed to the next dungeon together. Not forgetting to remind So Yun to be more attentive this time. Somehow this is all strange. Kim didn't ask for a lot of money, and he didn't say anything about compensation. But the director even brought charges of violating the ban. What reason does such a high-ranking person have to do this? The huntress thought that this might have happened because of her. After all, last time during her vacation she talked with the manager about the cleaning team. This is a man of old views, so it never occurred to her that this could somehow come back to haunt her. Maybe because of her he decided to teach the cleaners a lesson. Kim asked the girl what her boss's name was. It was Lee Su Young, a representative of the So Min Chul line. He was promoted to the leader of the first group, although he does not have any special skills. But he actively uses his position. What a bastard. The hero had an idea and asked his boss for a day off. The guy reached the Seo-cho area in Seoul. Samson Station. Residents walked peacefully around the city, and there were no signs of trouble. Suddenly, a dungeon appeared from under the ground in the very center. The people ran as far as possible, shouting for someone to call the association to call the hunters. One person stood, motionless, directly in front of the dungeon. It was Kim's hero. So, in a moment everyone will see what he is capable of. The guy went down into the dungeon with a poker and a shovel. Such a weapon. Monsters surrounded him on all sides. During combat, movement speed increases significantly. Hyper-acceleration. The guy ran at inhuman speed and defeated all the monsters in just a couple of moments. He took advantage of the interception. This is the act of secretly taking over a dungeon before the hunters arrive and without the association's permission. Mostly freelance hunters do this, hoping to make some money. The guy hadn't done this for so long that now he couldn't control his strength. The hero needs to finish this dungeon as quickly as possible, because he does not have any information on the case. The probability of dying here is very high, so few people try to intercept from a swoop. Although for the guy it didn't really matter. There are about 15 minutes before the task force arrives, which means we need to finish earlier. Kim, as the world's first SSS-ranked person, should not take more than 10 minutes to complete this dungeon. But the problem is that his enemy has skills in combat. While he has no defense skill, he can be killed with one hit. But the reason he could speed through dungeons was because he had already been in them. The fourth boss was next. And acceleration alone helped him. The guy fought hard and eventually won. The Metal Tin boss dungeon and the Succubus dungeon. From ghosts to huge ants. During the day the guy managed to go through 4 dungeons. It was a productive day. A task force hunter averages 3 to 4 dungeons per week. Not a bad result, without abilities. But since all these locations have a low level of danger, the profit from them is small. Cars with people from the association were parked nearby. It seemed to the guy, or there was an emergency at the headquarters. Apparently the anonymous person who intercepted 4 dungeons was getting on their nerves. If Kim is caught, he will certainly be fired. And if you are completely unlucky, you will also have to pay a fine. But the hero wasn't too worried. It's unlikely that anyone would suspect a simple janitor. He should leave before the hunters arrive at this dungeon. I wish I could see the faces of these idiots. But everything didn't turn out the way the guy expected. After 2 days of absence from work, he himself had to stand with a moronic expression on his face, because Lee Soo-young suddenly showed up to them. Did he really guess everything? The boss said that he just needed to interact with other teams from other departments from time to boost morale. But Kim knew that he was lying. Usually he doesn't even look in the direction of the cleaners. The man intended to spend the day with the team and monitor their work. It's amazing how well he chose the moment to come. Maybe he suspects that Kim was in those dungeons. Chief Park decided to show all his kindness to his superiors and, raising the team spirit of the team, he offered Seo-yun a protective suit and a gas mask, but he refused, deciding to watch them from afar. The team headed into the dungeons, and cleaner Sang-hyuk was amazed at the speed at which the hunter cleared the dungeon. They had an hour left to work. Kim advised the huntress to set the medicine to 60%. The corpses have already hardened, so they will have to sweat. According to So-yun's observations, the concentration of the gas was 150 milligrams per square meter. It disintegrates too quickly. The team worked, wiping the passages of blood and cleaning the dungeon. In Chief Lee's opinion, they were only pretending to work because he was here. He needed to get them off balance. The man called out to the hunter Min-ju and noticed that the dungeon interception had happened in the last 2 days. After questioning, he may decide that this was the work of Kim Min-ju, because she is from the operations department. But if you consider that everything happened when he was taking a day off, it would be logical if all team members, not counting Kim Min-ju, would definitely notice the traitor. But the hunter did not give up and rebuffed the boss, noticing that the hunter's objections were not groundless. True, no matter how hard he tries, it is not so easy to detect the interceptor. Surely the general director will be dissatisfied. It is for this reason that this time the one who catches the offender will receive a reward. Kim tried not to attract attention to himself and, turning away from everyone, cleaned the floor from the blood of monsters. According to the chief, a worthy reward for his capture was invented. If the hunter catches the interceptor, then additional points will be added to his rank. And if they find him on another team, they will be promoted. In other words, if someone from the cleaning team catches this anonymous person, they can move to another team or even department. Chief Lee almost pushed them, focusing their attention on a certain guy who suddenly took 2 days off. This is the end, since he offers a promotion, the real fight will begin. And they are not fools at all. The hero underestimated them. But to his surprise, Team Boss Park asked how the guy was feeling after receiving the injury that supposedly forced him to take the day off. The whole team supported him and began to make fun of the boy. They say he was praised a couple of times, and he began to forget about safety rules at work. Chief Park expressed the general opinion by saying that there are no traitors among them. What a shame, if that interceptor had been on their team, they could have earned themselves a promotion right there. Han Sang-hyuk apparently thought about his proposal, but Park made a decision and said goodbye to Chief Lee. That same day, the man called the director and assured him that it was this guy from the cleaning team who was intercepting the dungeons. As soon as he left for his shift, everything became quiet. Lee Soo-young was confident in his guess and was eager to punish the janitor to the fullest extent. But the director seemed to know more than him and seemed to have figured out the real identity of this guy. The hero stood at the ATM, which worried people around. The guy looked scary, and he was covered in blood. From the very beginning, he decided to intercept dungeons, because he decided that since the management did not increase their budget, he would do it himself. The director of the department wanted to give the cleaners this damn money, to which the boss Soo-yun was shocked. He identified the dungeon interceptor, he even had evidence. But it was too late. A certain amount of money has just been transferred to the cleaning squad. The sponsor wishes to remain anonymous. He transferred 20 million won. Although it's not that much. They lost approximately that much in 2 days of interceptions. But isn't it strange that the money appeared exactly at the moment when the interceptions stopped? But according to the director, when the criminal is caught, the problems for their department will only increase. Especially if it leaks to the press. The cleaners take over the dungeons from the hunters, not a bad title. If there really is a cleaner in the cleaning department who can take out the entire dungeon alone, then he is unlikely to stay in this department. If someone can rise through their skills, then why should they bother with cleaning by picking in the dirt? But this whole situation was very strange from the very beginning. When that guy came to the director to ask for an increase in the budget, he showed that he was well aware of the internal affairs of the association. Now there is undoubtedly someone on the cleaning team who doesn't belong there. Then this cleaner is a person who worked for the association. In addition, there may be an influential person behind him. For example, the chairman of the association, since he can't stand the director. Chief Lee put all the puzzles together. No wonder why the cleaning crew lied to him, looking him in the eye. They probably felt supported by the chairman. The men decided that this riot was a warning. Your work is being watched. The team's work was going great. Fortunately, the guy now doesn't have to deal with interceptions. All that remains is to wait for the money to arrive. The team headed towards the workplace when they saw a bunch of boxes on the way. The cleaners at first decided that it was the boss who ordered something, but Pak admitted that he had nothing to do with it. Opening the boxes, they found protective suits and gas masks. There was everything they needed. New cleaning products, gloves, medicines. It looks like the association decided to give them everything they needed. Has the management really awakened to its conscience? It looks like these ghouls in leather chairs have allocated funds to them after all. Based on the official notice that Pak read, it follows that the person who paid for everything wished to remain anonymous. But the hero was surprised by the number of new things. After all, 20 million won is not that much. But it turned out that they were given 200 million won. They gave me 10 times more than the guy sent. It followed from the document that, based on the results of a reinspection, the association decided to confirm the fact of the accident. The reason was considered to be outdated equipment, which the budget did not allow to update. In this regard, another decision was made to increase the budget of the cleanup department. The management expresses their condolences and apologizes to Moon So-yeon for what happened. The girl will be awarded compensation in the amount of 100 million won. She even cried with happiness and began to thank Jun-woo for going to the CEO. Chief Park was glad that the association had reconsidered its decision. Patience and a little effort. But Kim was very embarrassed by this. How could management change their mind so easily? Moreover, such a sum. The team did not share his concern and rejoiced at their luck. Now they really have to move all this stuff into the office. The huntress decided to let the team go home and move all the boxes together with the teacher, although the guy was not happy about it. But there was something that made him incredibly happy. By increasing the budget of the dungeon cleaning team, the guy unlocked the fire karma skill. A little more and the hero will be able to say goodbye to the janitor's uniform. The huntress was sure that it was Kim who intercepted the dungeons, which she told him about. The guy snapped, but the girl assured him that she was not going to rat him out on her teacher to earn points. She understood that compensation and payments to the cleaning department were money earned from dungeon interceptions. Kim was surprised how she guessed this. But it wasn't that difficult. Their entire department knew it. The guy could be in trouble, so she warned him. The teacher's skills are at such a level that it is impossible to hide them no matter how hard you try. This time he was able to escape unnoticed, but now the association will increase vigilance. If he is caught, he will no longer be able to remain on the cleaning team. Will she really ask him to be transferred to the operations department? Maybe the day will come when Min-ju will be useful too. It's so good that he brought her to the team. Now there is a real chance to get out of this trash heap. But the girl misunderstood him, deciding that the guy wanted to stay and work here, in this garbage dump. And she was determined to help him. The girl will do everything possible to keep the guy in the cleanup department and on this team. This is probably some kind of joke. The situation with the dungeon interceptions ended well, but almost immediately another incident occurred. When the team entered the dungeon itself, the situation was not very good. All the walls were covered in insults. And they wrote them with the blood of monsters. And the corpses of the monsters were deliberately taken to the most inaccessible place. So-yeon didn't understand the reason, and the other cleaner was ready to teach these freaks a lesson. But even if they are able to find the culprits and push them to the wall, they will deny it. It's easier to just ignore, Kim said. They will stop if the team doesn't respond. The hunters definitely did this. Certainly. The hero wanted to go after them right now. But it was better for him to avoid confrontations with operatives if he wanted to unlock skills. In any case, after a couple of days they themselves will get tired of being childish. He really thought so, but even after 3 days it did not stop. Why do they even do this? The team approached the boss, expressing their dissatisfaction. You need to contact the operations department. But it turned out that Chief Park had already visited them. The man was going to talk to the manager, but he was told that he had gone on a business trip. But the hunters insisted that it was not them. The cleaner decided to find out by calling the huntress Min-ju. But Kim said that no one from the team should worry, he would figure it out himself, although he got really worked up and walked away from the workplace. Apparently operatives don't do this kind of crap. Just kindergarten, already the 3rd day. They're just fabulous bastards. But the guy knows how to surprise them, he was too angry. These hunters are already really sick of it. And they are not too lazy. And the cleaning team has to work 15 hours a day. Because of this, he is late for the last bus. At the association, the girl at the front desk was greeting people in the parallel dimensions department. Kim did not wait and spread out the people standing nearby. Today a hero will put an end to this. It all came to this because of what happened 3 days ago. Coming out of the tunnel, the team was again cursed by the hunters. First for their work, and then for the smell. Cleaners should clean up waste after hunters, and not break into the budget. The arrogant hunters advised them to find part-time work. They continued to snarl until Kim Min-ju appeared nearby. And as soon as they realized that she, like them, was a hunter, they began to apologize and bow to her. The girl found out that they were from the same department and yelled at them. The guys needed to apologize for their bestial behavior. There are assholes among newcomers. As soon as they became hunters, they began to show off. Although they received their E rank with difficulty. Seeing the huntress, Chief Pak was very surprised at their luck. Will she really continue to help them? But the girl hastened to dissuade him, and, deflecting, thanked him for the skills she had acquired at work. But the boss did not expect this and was confused himself. They should thank her for her help. Just a week ago she went on shift with them for the first time, but she quickly learned everything and coped well. All this time, and now it's over. The girl was sincerely glad to meet such good people. In just a week, these people became close to her. So Yun even suggested that the girl keep in touch. Everyone was sad about Kim Min-ju leaving, everyone except him. Because he was the one who asked her to leave the cleaning team. A couple of days before, he asked her not to come to work anymore. At first, the guy really surprised the girl, but then she realized that if she didn't do the cleaning, she would have more time for other things, including training. After that, they created a training schedule. If Kim Min-ju sticks to it, he will reach A rank in 6 months. Now the guy could not pursue his career as a hunter, as in his previous life, but he planned to use the girl as a link between him and the association, making her the best hunter. The guy was a little ashamed that he was again using the girl for his own purposes, as in his previous life. But he only has 1 year left. Without knowing this, the girl thanked her teacher and offered her help if he ever needed it. Kim wondered if the girl had always been like this. In any case, it was on this note that Kim Min-ju left the third cleanup group. Everything happened in one day. Newbie hunters sat in their office and mocked the janitor, who showed up here the other day to talk with the director. And they also made fun of the man, or rather, as they put it, the old man, who asked the guys to treat the cleaning crew better. While talking enthusiastically, they did not even notice how Kim came in and cut one of them in the face. The second hunter insulted him and tried to attack, which was good for the hero, since the hyper-acceleration skill was activated, although it did not help him. The hunter used the necromancer skill, namely a deadly attack. Would the guy dare to touch him? But he didn't intend to. Here's a cretin, he decided to use the skill against him. Having defeated the grief of the hunters, he triumphed. These idiots liked to laugh at the cleaner and behind their backs and write on the walls. Schoolchildren don't even behave like that. Apparently they are not taught anything at all. The guy began to lecture the hunter. How could you forget the basics? You cannot use skills outside dungeons, much less against people. The boy tried to justify himself, he thought that he would attack him, so he had to use the skill. What a piece of crap. He barely got an E rank, and he throws this out. The hunter began to apologize and realized that he had done something wrong. For a hunter, many things can be dangerous, but they should not have feared the guy. Having taught them a lesson, the guy warned that he would not tolerate this anymore. From today they will no longer clear out dungeons for hunters. Kim was going to tell reporters about their actions. Then the guy will see how they will have fun. The hunters believed him and decided that the association would support them, because it is always on the side of the hunters. But they were wrong. Will the association cover their ass at the cost of its own reputation? And all for the sake of some E-rank show-off. The hero suggested that the hunter immediately go and apologize to the cleaners on his knees. The hunter was still trying to hold on to his pride, although Kim was already losing his temper and offered to fight one-on-one, when Chief Lee entered the room. It's very strange, because according to Park's boss, when he went to the department, he was informed that Lee Soo-young had gone on a business trip. You'll understand this idiot. Unexpectedly respectful, Boss Lee asked what Mr. Cleaner was doing here. Maybe the team has already run out of its allocated budget. But the hero, without any hesitation, said that he came because of the tricks of these worthless hunters. The guy explained that they began to drag the corpses of monsters to the farthest part of the dungeon and write all sorts of nasty things on stands with the blood of monsters. That is why he came to talk with the authorities and personally find out what complaints these hunters have against their team. The arrogant hunter began to swear and accuse the cleaner of the attack. To which the boss yelled at the hunter for his expressions and punched him in the face. Having let off steam, Soo-young began to apologize to the cleaner, to which the hero was very surprised and for some time did not know what to say and ineptly mumbled to his superiors to be more attentive to his subordinates. The guy quickly got ready to leave, saying in parting that these guys should not catch his eye. That's how it ended. Almost. There is one more unanswered question left. Why did Lee Soo-young change his attitude so dramatically? The guy sat with the hunter on the street and discussed what had happened. Namely, how an insignificant couple of hunters apologized to their team. Kim had already decided that he had gone too far with the pressure, so this was unlikely to happen again. But it turned out to be more widespread. Now these guys won't be able to do anything to them, even if they want to. And all because they were kicked out of the team, as the huntress said. The hero was shocked. Did this really happen because of his words? Yes, so that the association would kick the hunters out of the team after a complaint from some janitor. And besides, the boss's complaisance that day. What is this bastard up to? The next day everything was no less strange. When the team arrived at the dungeon to clean up, they were greeted by a team of hunters. They thanked them for cleaning and bowed to the cleaners. And they continued to behave this way after each purge. Each time they waited for them to thank them, and only then left. Entering the dungeon, the team even decided that they had already cleaned here. The hunters put all the monsters in a neat pile and even cleaned up after themselves in the boss's room. The team rejoiced in happiness. So-yeon decided that the hunters were taking care of them, and everyone began to thank the janitor Junwoo. The girl thanked the guy, although she was worried about him. She was afraid that someone would decide to take revenge on him, because now so many people were watching them. But this is unlikely, unless he is a very fearless person, and for now all ill-wishers will sit below the grass. Especially after everything he did there. However, the janitor Sang-hyuk was embarrassed by all this, which he told the hero about. As soon as Kim asked to increase the budget and mentioned the increase in the budget, everything was done. And under these circumstances, the first cleanup team is now keeping an eye on them. Is he really some kind of big shot, since he doesn't even need connections with his superiors? Kim, having laughed it off, besieged the guy and decided to continue working. If he were an influential person, he would not be involved in cleaning the dungeons. Chief Lee at this time listened to the ridicule of the head of the second operational team, Im Dong-bin. A senior colleague noticed that Soo-young sent the first cleanup team to spy on the cleaning squad. This Dong-bin will always hear and sniff out everything. But he doesn't even know what kind of guy is now working on the cleaning team. But he was already aware. They say that this is one of the people of the chairman of the association. Everything fell into place, which is why Chief Lee began to crawl in front of the guy. But this will not help him to achieve a new position. A senior colleague offered to help. His plan was to have a chance to catch the chairman guy making a big mistake. Boss Lee didn't quite understand him and was initially surprised at what kind of offense the cleaning squad had committed. But Dong-bin will help them. What a sick bastard he is, what kind of trick is he going to pull this time? Either way, it's better than spending the rest of your life spying on this mysterious janitor. He asked what price a senior colleague wanted for the service, and received a very scary answer. Dong-bin asked to give his team a multi-zone dungeon in the Yongdepo direction. A multi-zone dungeon is a special dungeon that opens the next zone after clearing the previous one. Usually, such a high-ranking dungeon goes to the corresponding hunters. The difficulty with these dungeons is that they cannot be left until the team has defeated all the bosses in each zone. Thus, this is an important facility that takes about a month to prepare the operational team. However, this was too much. Im Dong-bin, in the same way, stole the other team's loot. However, without his help, the boss will not be able to get closer to the cleaning squad. He's got the only large-scale cleanup of the dungeon, but if Dong-bin really helps him deal with the cleaning crew, then it's a good deal. And he agreed. But his colleague's impudence knew no bounds, so much so that he asked the hunter Kim Min-ju to temporarily join his team, and the boss still gave in. The hero rode the bus home and rejoiced at his luck. Now the situation is radically different. Over time, unlocking skills has become much easier. The guy heard that for a couple of months there has been no applicant for the cleaning team, in which case it is not reasonable to think about this condition. This skill will be postponed for now. But working together with other departments sounds more than reasonable. Previously, the hero would have laughed at this, but now it seems more than real. It will be difficult to increase wages for now. The most realistic activation conditions must be met, such as the growing interest in the dungeon cleaner squad among ordinary citizens. He can try this. While exploring his options, the guy's phone rang. On the phone, Min-ju was very excited. This time her team will have to clear a multi-zone dungeon, and the girl was chosen as the squad leader for such an important task. The guy was happy for her, noting that now the price for her life would be incredibly high. His student is immediately visible. But according to the girl, this was not even the most important thing. Since the cleaning team will also take part in the cleanup. The hunting team was openly indignant. Not only did the cleaners take away part of their budget and status, but now they also want to take away their jobs. Why the hell did they even come here? Maybe they will also decide to become hunters to the fullest, that will make people laugh. But Chief Park didn't seem to care. He was very excited and was so happy that their team had such a rare opportunity. The meeting began and everyone took their places at the table. The hunters on that team are all approximately B or C rank. Something is wrong here. Isn't the multi-zone dungeon assigned to the first team? And it was originally the work of Min-ju's team. Apparently, Director Lee Soo-young handed over the project to the second team. But it was terribly stupid. Such a cool project to just take and give to another team. They had to prepare for the cleansing for 2 months. Hunter Kim decided that something had happened between the team leaders, but no one knew the details. When suddenly the leader of the second team came into the room. As soon as Kim saw him, he remembered his past years as a hunter. When he was a rookie, this freak stole a raid from a guy. Dong Bin was known for taking other people's orders. And now this asshole is the head of the second task force. Cleaner Kim's face was clear. Min-ju and Soo-young were worried about him. Maybe something happened, but the guy didn't answer. He just told the huntress to stay away from that bastard. She shouldn't mess with him. The leader began to tell the details of the raid, which would last all day. As they knew, you couldn't exit a multi-zone dungeon without clearing all the zones. Therefore, if someone wants to refuse, then they should say so now. But no one said anything. Apparently they understood the importance of the work. Next, a discussion began on the Yondipo region. Hunters are divided into 3 groups. Since the clearing lasts 24 hours, groups of monsters will decay while they are there. This cannot be allowed because their bodies will begin to release poisonous gas. Group number 3 from the cleanup department will work on this. The operation is quite large scale, so upon completion everyone will receive bonuses. The manager asked if they could handle it, to which the cleaning team agreed in unison. They have no reason to refuse. This is a great opportunity to work with a task force, plus bonuses. And the most important thing is that they will clean up after the hunters right away. This will save them a lot of time. Moreover, by completing a joint project with 8 other departments, Kim will be able to unlock a new skill. Good opportunity. If not now, then when? There may not be another chance like this. After all, now he is a simple cleaner, and we need to seize the opportunity. But despite this, he stood up and loudly refused to participate. Because if they work, they will only help this nit. Even if they threaten to kill him, he still won't agree. The members of the cleaning team did not understand why he refused such an opportunity, especially since they were promised some goodies. After which everyone looked at Chief Park, waiting for his opinion. The man decided that the guy was just worried about them. Kim Min-ju was also worried, since the briefing was very short, and the dungeon was very dangerous. You have to work all day without a break where there are a lot of monsters. Kim Min-ju eventually decided that Jun-woo refused, realizing how risky the job was. They couldn't do it. Boss Park decided that by being the first to refuse the job, Kim set an example for them, knowing that in the joy of the bonus they might agree. Sang-hyuk was deceived by a guy again. Because at first he thought that the guy just didn't want to work. The cleaning team eventually also refused to participate in the raid. Suddenly, Kim Min-ju said that she would refuse work, which greatly surprised everyone. But still, she led the raid and couldn't just leave. However, the girl did not like this idea from the very beginning. Moreover, she decided that she was not such a valuable hunter at the head of the cleanup himself would interfere with her. And more importantly, the teacher told her not to mess with this guy. And it's definitely worth listening to. After learning all this, the manager was furious and depressed at the same time, telling all this to Chief Lee. And at this time the man mocked him. Dong Bin, what a moron. Lee was delighted with how Dong Bin's face changed after the janitor's refusal. Now he understood what Chief Lee was talking about. Dong Bin was not in the mood to communicate, which is what he said. But Su Young did not let up. How will the second group cope with the raid now, especially since Kim Min-ju left their team? He won't contact a private company. They have already spent 200 million won. Dong Bin will have no problem dealing with someone from Seo Min Chol's line. He just needs to use the mandatory list of participants and that's it. This list means that those teams appointed by the chairman will be required to go on a raid. Failure to comply with an order may result in disciplinary action or even termination. And how dare this little idiot even talk to him like that? A few days later, the hero learned that Dong Bin had used the must list. As a result, a group of cleaners and Kim Min-ju were forced to participate in clearing the dungeon. A lot of people from ordinary residents gathered for such a serious event. An operation of this scale even attracted the attention of the media. The cleaning crew even began to worry about their appearance with so many reporters around. At this time, Kim Min-ju stood with a thoughtful face. The hero noticed this and turned to her. The girl was worried because it was her first time as a team commander. Kim advised her not to show her worries. When the townspeople see the worried hunter, they themselves begin to worry. His words calmed the girl and gave her courage. But the guy did not forget to remind her of the goal. She shouldn't be distracted by their group, it's more important to focus on destroying the monsters. Min-ju still decided to keep in touch with the team. She's not going to ask him for help. He told me to contact him if he died. Chief Park gave an uplifting speech and the team went to get equipment and supplies. Everything was in place. 10 liters of hydrogen peroxide diluted with hydrochloric acid, saline solution. They also found a vacuum compressor, an EVA compression bag, glasses and cleaning supplies. And there were even more supplies of food and water than necessary. It will be difficult, but in any case they will have to do what they always do. So everything will be fine. Before starting, they just need to put on their equipment. While Puck encouraged the team, the hunters standing nearby laughed at their attitude. What do these cleaners even do? Leader Im and the hunters were still waiting for their captain. Again she communicates with these cleaners. They were counting on her. So-yun was very surprised when she saw the leader. She didn't think that they would also participate in the raid, since the task force was led by Kim Min-ju. But according to the hero, this was commonplace. So even if Min-ju is in charge, the team leader can also participate. Usually he appoints the best hunter as the leader in the raid, and now it was the hunter Min-ju. The hero admitted that the girl has leadership qualities, but Dong Bin did this for a different reason. This guy has no idea how to behave on the battlefield and doesn't want to take responsibility. He only plans operations, but never participates in them, always remaining in the back row. But he told Min-ju that he would also fight, since it was her first time leading a raid. He promised to deal with problems if any arise. And he finally shouted to the cleaning team to take care of the cleanliness, since they couldn't delay cleaning. Everyone was ready, and Raid Commander Kim repeated the ground rules. Now the hunters are divided into 3 teams A, B, C. Team A will go first. Team B will take over the next zone. Then Team C will perform. And so on in a circle until there is not a single monster left in the dungeon. This time a cleaning team will go with them. They know their stuff, so there's no need to worry. However, if the situation becomes too dangerous, the girl suggested that the hunters contact the cleaners for help. She greatly shocked everyone with this statement. Kim, like everyone else, thought that she had blurted out too much. And the head of the group, Im, corrected her in case of danger, let the cleaner turn to the hunters. Without thinking for a long time, the hunters headed into the dungeon, followed by the cleaners. Everything turned out to be not as scary as they thought. For the cleaners, everything went very calmly. Even though this is a large-scale operation, they were simply cleaning up. And there is even a chance that until the end of the mission they will not cross paths with hunters, peacefully doing their job. Sang Hyuk was even upset about this. Why was there a need to do a joint raid if he couldn't watch the professionals work? But he's not a hunter, and anyway they wouldn't be able to see the techniques they could use in their work, Puck joked. The cutting was done, now it's time to take on the chemicals. The corpses cannot be allowed to decompose during the process of clearing the dungeon by operatives. After processing, do not forget to cover the chemicals with a plastic bag and pack it all in a vacuum bag. Since the raid is joint, you need to be careful, the lives and health of others depend on them. Usually such a large number of monsters are burned at the place where they were killed. But now, when stripping and cleaning are going on simultaneously, this is impossible to do. And to prevent the flesh from decomposing while the task force continues to clean up, the cleanup team has to dismember the monsters' bodies, treat them with chemicals and vacuum seal them. The team was already quite tired and hungry after so many hours of work. To do this, So Yun, prudently taking some chocolate bars with her, offered them to the team. Of course, she offered Kim a choice, completely forgetting that he doesn't like being distracted while working. The guy asked for one with strawberry flavor and Chief Park called it a sweet break. They will quickly have a snack and return to work. This was the first truly large raid for their group, but surprisingly everything went well and there were no problems. They did everything they always did. But that was only the beginning. 8 hours after entering the dungeon, while the hunters were killing monsters, the situation began to change in the cleaning squad. After 10 hours of almost continuous work, they fell off their feet from fatigue. Another 5 hours later, Han Sang-hyuk injured his shoulder, but not seriously enough to leave the dungeon. There were also cases when vacuum bags burst, and the guy was tired of constantly fixing them. They were very far behind the task force. It's been 18 hours since work started. The task force contacted the cleaners, complaining about rising gas levels in the dungeon. Chief Park began apologizing to them over the radio, making excuses for the large amount of work. To which the hunters were shocked, because they had already finished work in the 10th zone, and the cleaners were only in the 5th. Park tried to explain to them that they could not work without rest. They need at least an hour of break and then they will do everything to speed up their work. This did not suit the task force. There was more and more poison in the dungeon, and they decided to rest. Hearing this and unable to stand it, Kim snatched the radio from his boss. He clearly explained that the cleaners could not continue working. Have the hunters ask leader Kim Min-ju to stop the raid. To which he was told that this was impossible, otherwise they simply would not meet the deadline. But the hero was not satisfied with such an answer. They want their team to die of fatigue right on the spot. Standing nearby and hearing everything that was happening, the cleaning crew was afraid that the guy was going overboard. Kim suggested sending them hunters who are not busy with work to help them, since with them the cleaning will go much faster. To which he was refused. Why should a hunter bother with cleaning? The hero lost his temper and asked the head of the raid to come to him. Boss Im Do-bin was annoyed by the janitor's actions. And the problem was truly impressive. The gas in the dungeon was already visible to the naked eye. Kim just now reached it. And before he could say anything, the man began to complain. Instead of trudging here, the guy could do his job. Namely, cleaning. There's some confusion about what's going on here. Not seeing Kim Min-ju, the hero asked her to come. But she was busy with work, according to Dong-bin. And what could this cleaner want from a hunter? But the guy wasn't interested in that. They had been working for 18 hours without a break. Or they think they are robots. No one had any strength left. Chief Im understood that if this continued, he would have problems with his superiors. And all because these damn cleaners are tired. The hunters worked like horses to prepare for this task. Cleaners will no longer see bonuses. They refuse their duties and do not follow orders directly during the cleanup. If they think that since this is their first experience in such large-scale operations, then they can do anything, then they are seriously mistaken. And now Im Dong-bin will have to take responsibility for the actions of their squad. Hearing this, Kim laughed out loud. He understood everything. The hero was at first surprised why they were added to the mandatory list of participants, but now everything has become clear. He probably decided from the very beginning to catch them doing something and punish them. Needless to say, great plan. The hunters cannot continue to watch them, so the chief decided to punish them in this way. But it doesn't matter what his plan was. A leader should not do this. His words hurt Dong Bin. Damn asshole. He seems to be allowing himself too much. Who can cover him? But even the chairman of the association cannot save him from being rejected for disobeying an order. To which the guy decided to strike a pose. Hunters can't cope without them. Let's say they refuse to participate in the raid. What will happen then? There is more and more gas. Will the task force continue to clean it up? On the radio, Dong Bin contacted Kim Min-ju, and while she was fighting the monster, he said that a problem had arisen. The cleaners refuse to work. At this rate, they will suffocate before they finish their work. Chief Im decided to lead the operation himself, and ordered the girl to resign from her post as head of the raid. The girl was shocked, to which Dong Bin called her a brainless chicken. He said there was no way he could handle this situation, so the best she could do was hand over leadership to him. He's an idiot, Kim said. Absolutely nothing has changed. Hearing his voice on the walkie-talkie, Kim Min-ju asked the teacher if it was true that they were refusing to work. But the guy said in an innocent voice that he had never said anything like that. After all, if they suddenly refuse to work, then everyone here will die from toxic fumes. Dong Bin was on edge. Why doesn't this brat give him control? If she was once entrusted with leading a raid, this does not mean that she became a big shot. After calculating all the options, the girl agreed to transfer authority. Having officially said everything so that the entire team and superiors could hear, she transferred the rights of the head of the raid to Kim Junwoo from the cleanup department. The chief and the hunters were in complete shock. How long has it been since the hero felt such power? Now he is in charge of the cleanup. Feeling his new status, he began to feel much better. Hearing this, Chief Im laughed in the guy's face. There's no way he'll be in charge. Even if powers are transferred to him, this does not mean that he will command everyone. Dong Bin himself did nothing useful for this raid. Kim said that he was aware of the official position and knew who was responsible for everything during the raid. Dong Bin asked how he knew this. Was he really a hunter? These words angered the guy. Why does everyone who meets him consider it their duty to find out if he is a hunter? And what does it even matter? But it meant a lot. After all, cleaners are only responsible for cleaning. In a raid, the life of each participant is at stake, and if something happens, you won't get off with a simple disciplinary punishment. That is, according to Chief Im, the guy, being an inexperienced cleaner, had to hand over the operation to a veteran of the dungeons like Dong Bin. And then he will escape punishment. The longer the hero looked at him, the more clearly he remembered the past. Now let him not think of interfering. Consider the man suspended by the janitor. Everyone was amazed. Suspension is the highest level of disciplinary punishment and deprives all supervisor benefits. Dong Bin's jaw dropped. Kim Jun-woo took his radio and addressed all the raid participants with the news that Dong Bin had been removed from his position as team leader. The rest must do everything possible to achieve the goal. Surely they heard that Kim Min-ju handed over command to him. Therefore, from now on they will have to follow the guy's instructions. His first order was to redirect Team B and C to help the cleaning squad. The hunters, of course, were not delighted. This is not why they worked so hard for a prestigious position, to scrub floors. In response, this guy suspended these two teams from participating in the raid due to failure to follow instructions. Now the guy was waiting for a response from Team A. Kim Min-ju immediately responded on the radio that their team was ready to complete the task. They will have to work hard. Most hunters will no longer participate in the raid. The girl was now in Zone 11, but the monster here was no ordinary one. This fucking Winnie the Pooh, as the guy called him, after the attack begins, he becomes immune to their blows. The guy advised them to let their tanks take the hit, and the healers would support and heal them. When the bear's immunity disappears, the best fighter will be released. The hunter with the highest stats must attack the beast. And immediately use the counterattack skill. On the guy's advice, Min-ju practiced attacks with her left hand and was ready to start fighting. The order was received and the team began to work according to the planned plan. The monster slowly weakened and in the end the huntress came very close to it and used the counterattack skill. Having defeated the monster, the girl radioed to the teacher that Zone 11 was now free. Team B and C team members heard everything that was happening and were amazed. Kim warned the hunter that she had 50 minutes left to clear the remaining zones. In Area 12 the boss is a ghost. He is immune to physical attacks in general, so swordsmen must cover the rear. At this time, mages should use their strongest attack skills. Then the hunters will begin to hallucinate. The healer must use the cleanse skill at this time. They shouldn't go near monsters. Just attack the bosses and retreat. The guy gave a couple more tips, to which he heard that the team was unable to defeat the boss. She explained that there were too few of them and they were all exhausted. Now their skills are not activated, and their physical characteristics are too low. Kim wondered how they couldn't cope. He told them to hold on and try not to die until he came to help. This time it was an unusual boss. Min-ju has never killed anyone like this before. It was impenetrable and too fast, which is strange given its size. The girl tried to attack him again, but he easily threw her onto the rocks. The teacher arrived just in time. She couldn't cope. He extended his hand to her, to which she, dreaming, began to extend hers. Apparently she did not hear that he asked for a sword. Stone Ogre Kim didn't think that there would be a monster of such a high rank in such a place. There was no doubt the guy had skills unlocked thanks to this raid. Having fulfilled the condition of working together with other departments, the hero received the discipline skill. Having activated it, the guy felt all the power. The effect of the skill used by the caster during battle has been increased. In a couple of movements, he was able to knock the monster to his knees and finally used the fire skill, activating a counterattack. The damage he dealt to the boss was increased by 3000%. The discipline skill additionally increases damage by 3000%. Using all these skills at the same time, Kim easily dealt with the monster. At this time, the team of hunters could not believe their eyes. Who is he anyway? With such skills, he should not be a janitor, but a member of the task force. To this, Min-ju only warned that it was better for no one to know about his skills. Money, fame, power, hunter skills, stats or weapons didn't matter to him. The hero's mysophobia skill was also activated. Hobbling around with a wounded shoulder, he thought how dirty it was here after the battle. According to Hunter Kim, the only thing that interested the teacher was working with her team. According to all the news reports, during a major raid in Yonggi-po organized by the association, the group's leader, Im Dong-bin, was removed. It also turned out that he appropriated bonuses from other hunters. Hearing all this, the director was angry. How could the team leader be removed from the raid, you fucking idiot? Dong-bin tried to excuse himself, but to no avail. Now everyone knows that he tried to use Kim Min-ju. The employee did not understand why everyone blamed him alone. Together they drew up a list of conditions. But, of course, he shouldn't have said it out loud. The director is not his friend and will not tolerate insubordination and frivolity. Director Lee won't easily forget that everyone is discussing his department and Dong-bin's behavior. Before anyone takes any action, Dong-bin needs to go to the police. All this time, Chief Su-young stood nearby and silently watched what was happening until the time came. He suggested telling the janitor that it was he who helped him. Lee ignored this and instead proposed that the huntress Kim Min-wait be promoted to the position of squad leader for her efforts. Im Dong-bin and the members of the second task force were disciplined. Dong-bin was removed from his position as a leader, and for a hunter this is tantamount to dismissal. Now the huntress Kim has taken his place. The entire cleaning team howled happy and greeted her with flowers. The girl was very touched by their words of support, and she was so moved that she shed a tear. Min-ju could not even dream of such a thing. She is now a leader and is on the same level as Lee Su-young, although at first she tried to deny it. The hunter's office was very empty. Many hunters were drowned, only 17 of them remained. After the calculations, the girl once again began to doubt herself and the honor given to her to be a leader. Kim just told her not to underestimate herself. Not everyone can take this position, let them do the job without mistakes. Min-ju thanked him. Although he was slightly annoyed, since he himself became a leader only at the age of 30. His ego suffered. Later, talking with friends, the girl said that she would not have achieved anything without them. But even after becoming a leader, she still considers herself a member of their team. Hearing this, the guy quickly interrupted her. She shouldn't say something like that here. She may be heard and misunderstood. Not a single hunter would want to see a cleaner in his group, especially in the place of a leader. And because of Kim, a group of cleaners almost lost their jobs. As soon as she finished the conversation, the hunters arrived. They were delayed because their shift took longer than usual and they were very hungry. Seeing the cleaners in their locker room, the hunters were at first dumbfounded, and then began to bow, greeting them and began to introduce themselves to them in turn. The first to introduce himself was Hong Ji-young from the second group with Lee Jin-ho. And another guy came up to Kim and praised his work on the last raid. The hunters were friendly and considered themselves part of the cleanup team, and they also offered to help if needed. Min-ju was happy with their attitude, but Kim simply could not believe their words. It's like they've been brainwashed. But now even the association headquarters will not be able to harm the cleanup department. The hero already thought she was going crazy with importance. She was even assigned an assistant. Now she's a big shot. Personal assistants, of course, are only given to group leaders. Once upon a time he had an assistant. It was then that Kim remembered the day of his murder. He was then in the car with Lee Ah-young, his assistant. This is the person who was closest to the hero after leaving the association. It seemed that she had left her post then, but he wasn't sure. The guy asked who was appointed as her assistant, but the girl didn't know. The guy was afraid that Ah-young would be assigned to her. But if you think about it, even if they collide here, nothing like that will happen. Most likely she won't recognize him. Chief Park interrupted his thoughts because it was time for the team to leave. Kim wanted to stay longer and find out who Min-ju was appointed as assistant, but it was high time for them to change. All team members said goodbye to the hunter and Kim headed towards the door. As soon as he turned the handle and opened the door, a girl with glasses appeared in front of him. She introduced herself as Song Hae-young, namely his assistant, confusing him with Kim Min-ju. The girl came from the support squad, although she did not work there for long. Hence such carelessness. How could there be any confusion? Min-ju is a girl. The huntress was even amused by this, and she was not angry with Hae-young. Puck called out to the hero, and they went to work. And in parting, the huntress wished the teacher a successful shift. The assistant came exhausted. She has only been working here for 2 months, but for her it was much more difficult than she thought. To this, Lee Ah-young asked what the problem was. Maybe her boss isn't as good as he thought. After all, under the leadership of Kim Min-ju, the raid of the second group recently almost went to waste. The girl hastened to express her opinion about Min-ju. According to her observations, she is a good person. But Hae-young feels like she was appointed to the position without the director's knowledge. Otherwise, why would a newcomer be sent as an assistant? However, according to Ah-young, the fact that they don't see or hear about the CEO is the best news. This means that he does his job perfectly. Even Ah-young heard rumors that Kim Min-ju is on good terms with the cleaning squad, who are under the patronage of the director. And of course Kim Jun-woo was there. But Hae-young didn't like him immediately when she ran into him. He's kind of arrogant. Considering he's in the director's own squad, he must love power. It's scary to even look at him, the girl said. And his scar on his nose makes him look even creepier. Such a villain has probably never had a girl like him. But Ah-young thought differently. He seems to be doing a great job. I was even able to increase the budget for my group and department. She also heard that he gave a dressing down to hunters who insulted the cleaners. In general, it is not normal for hunters to attack people, as it harms their image. But if such a problem arises in the future, Hae-young promised to quickly fix it. While Ah-young was wondering what this janitor was like, he was picking his ears in the dungeon and thought that someone was remembering him. The hero continued cleaning while singing Mr. Proper's song, and Min-ju caught him doing this, casually noting that it was going to rain in the afternoon. Kim was very surprised when he saw her. She has so much free time, isn't she going to work? And not as a cleaner, but as a leader of an operational group. She couldn't stop having fun with the mop. He thought that the hunters might judge her, but they happily joined her. Along the way, they asked if they were doing everything correctly and if they had crushed the monster's body correctly. And Chief Pak was only too happy to have their help and did his best to suggest the intricacies of cleaning. All the cleaners were happy to help. The second task force and the third clearing group are now on the same page. Kim understood that the girl would not have just come and told him to express what was on her mind. It was about the upcoming raids in the dungeons and quite difficult ones. She and her team need to clear about 50 dungeons. But with the current number of people on the team, namely 17 people instead of 40, this is simply impossible. They are missing at least 20 people. There will be some hard work ahead with above-average dungeons. The level of dungeons to be cleared is determined by the headquarters. The association has nothing to do with this. According to the guy, if the gate at the dungeon is green, then there may be strong monsters there. With her level of training, 3 to 4 people per dungeon will be enough. Based on this, they need to divide into 3 teams and carry out sweeps 2 times a day, in the morning and in the evening. If they can't cope on their own, the support team will help them, but only once. Min-ju never thought about it and took his advice on board. Many managers who work for 10 years do not understand this. Why should she has only recently been in the position of leader. While the girl was writing down his words in a notebook, he told her to leave. They can handle the cleaning themselves. The huntress took this to heart and decided that she was disturbing the guy. But the problem was not with her, but with her annoying assistant, who followed the leader everywhere. The guy said that he doesn't really know Hai Young, he just saw her for the first time yesterday. The assistant informed about the upcoming meeting, but since there was still some time, the huntress decided to send Hai Young away under the pretext of taking a table in the dining room. Because the telephone cannot be used underground. The girl did not suspect anything and went to occupy a table for 9 people, expecting that the cleaning team would also come. And Min-ju did this to talk to Kim alone. All because someone from the support department wants to see him, which the girl was informed about. It's strange that she was asked to hide this news from Hai Young. What support might want from him? Maybe it's because of the incident with that fat guy and his group. They will probably ask you not to interfere anymore. In this case, there is no point in looking for him. The guy convinced her that as soon as free time appeared, he would come to the department. Chief Park was very happy, because thanks to the hunters they finished early. The hunters smiled at this and were ready to help tomorrow. Leader Kim Min-ju decided to treat everyone to lunch as a reward. The next day, a new dungeon opened in the middle of the city, into which the boy wandered. He was confused and called for his brother. To which I heard a voice in the depths of the cave, "I'm here." Something was crawling along the ground towards the boy with a plea for help. But as soon as the child came closer, the monster showed its true face. Lifeless eyes with no soul and huge fangs instead of teeth. Last news. This afternoon at 12:30, a first grader mistakenly wandered into a dungeon and was attacked by a monster. Fortunately, the wounds were not fatal. After hospitalization, the hospital monitored his condition. The boy said that there were no barriers at the entrance to the dungeon, so the boy decided that he could enter. Listening to the news, Director Lee was upset. Standing in front of him was manager Min-ju, her assistant and janitor Jun-woo. By definition, civilians are not allowed to enter the dungeon. Then why the hell didn't they put up a fence? It's so elementary. Fortunately, they found the boy when they were already getting ready to go home a little more and there would be no one to help. The director shouted at them, wanting to find out who was to blame for what happened. Who forgot to put up a fence? To which Jun-woo took responsibility. He told the director that he had to put up signs and put up a barrier. But it just slipped his mind. Hearing this, the huntress Min-ju did not understand what was happening. She saw with her own eyes how he set up the barrier. The guy interrupted her abruptly, let her not interfere while he was talking to the boss. This means it was a mistake by the cleanup team, Director Lee decided. Kim took all the blame for himself, this is not the fault of the whole group, but only his. Therefore, responsibility for what happened to that boy lies with him. Lee didn't care if it was his or the entire team's mistake, and the guy was simply stating a fact. Kim asked the man to give him time off from work for the next day. And he will personally appear before management and tell them about his mistake. The man agreed and scheduled a meeting for 9 a.m. But in such a situation, no matter what the guy says, nothing will save him from punishment. The conversation was over and the trio was kicked out of the office. As soon as the office closed, the huntress Min-ju shouted at the guy. She saw with her own eyes how he left the fence. She understood that he was trying to protect the others, but why lie? Even if the boy really ended up in the dungeon by accident, where did the monster come from if the hunters cleared everything out? It just doesn't make sense. Surely someone set this up. And why is the guy supplied if he is innocent? But even if everything she was told was true, and someone set it all up, they have no chance of catching them and bringing them to light. Obviously, it is not an ordinary employee who is behind this. And they won't have time to find out anything until the morning, so he will answer. Just like Kim Min-ju said, it was all a setup. For starters, this monster, Vega, does not live in dungeons of this level. He was specially released there, but by whom and why is unclear. And does this make sense? But there was something he could do. To unlock the polymorph skill, namely it needs to increase interest among ordinary citizens in the dungeon cleaner squad. It looks like he has a chance to acquire this coveted skill. Kim Min-ju sat and thought about what happened the day before. Even if someone removed the barricade by mistake, how could a child accidentally enter the dungeon half an hour before it closed? And why did the monster remain in the dungeon if the task force finished its work? Everything was set up to frame their squad and teacher. Given the circumstances, the girl decided that the culprit worked for the association. But nothing can be done. She decided to observe the events, maybe it would help sort out the situation. Sitting at her desk, she put her head in her hands and hummed, attracting the attention of the other hunters. They approached her and decided to support their boss. Hunters have heard about the situation and also believe that it is not true. Kim Jun-woo definitely couldn't forget about the fence, even though he took the blame. Moreover, the hero helped them in a joint raid, so we need to return the favor to him and find the culprit. Their words brought Min-ju to her senses, and she decisively rose from the table, notifying the team that all projects they were working on were suspended. Now the second group will be engaged in catching the real criminal. The huntress was more confident than ever. Even if they do not fulfill the monthly quota, they will continue to the end. Of course, she asked her colleagues if there was anyone among them who was against the idea. But everyone unanimously decided to help the cleaning team and Jun-woo. Kim Min-ju was heading towards the exit when she came across a certain girl. She introduced herself as Lee Ah-young, deputy head of the support department. A few hours before, the manager's assistant, Ha-young, was upset that exactly when she started working with Min-ju, this happened. To this, Ah-young hastened to calm the girl down. It wasn't her fault, they were just unlucky. He asked what the team was going to do about it. Ha-young only knew that tomorrow Kim Jun-woo was going to go to the media. It's surprising that he is from the line of the chairman of the association, but he made such a stupid mistake. But according to Kim Min-ju, he was framed, even though he took the blame. It's not even clear why. Hearing this, Ah-young didn't understand why the guy took the blame. Are there really any normal people in this hellhole? What kind of person is this Kim Jun-woo? Despite the fact that he has connections, he has retained his humanity. If so, maybe they can change something in this rotten system. For now we need to keep this a secret. But Ah-young decided that her help would not harm them. And now, appearing before the group leader, Min-ju, she decided to help them in any way she could. Ha-young told her what happened. True, there was no success. They were just getting started, and the first thing in their plan was to check the video surveillance cameras in the dungeon area. But according to assistant Ah-young, this is a waste of time. They simply will not be given access to the records without the police or the chairman of the association. However, the girl had already delved into the reports and discovered that on that day the cameras near the dungeon in the Tal district were not working. They already had little time to prove Kim's innocence. And if they go there, they will only waste their already precious time. And Yong was not so simple and was already able to figure out something. At the moment when everything happened, there was a car nearby with the DVR turned on. Right now Hai Young is trying to cuddle this car. She remembered the number when she went to the dining room to reserve a table. When found, they will be able to check everything against this document. Min Ju was delighted and thanked the girl from the bottom of her heart. But Ah Young was not going to work for thanks. To which Min Ju did not know what she could offer her. She just took over as manager 3 days ago. But the assistant was not interested in high powers. She was interested in a cleaner. She was interested in the fact that the huntress communicates well with Kim Jun-woo. The girl was haunted by the fact that she could not figure him out. She needs information. There are so many rumors about him. For example, that he is an independent hunter, a spy for a private company, and even a protege of the chairman of the association himself. And Yun wondered which of these was true. But the hunter Min Ju heard all this for the first time. But how can she not know about it? The whole headquarters is talking about this. To which the hunter embarrassedly said that she didn't have many friends in the association. Does she really know him only as an employee of the cleanup department? What a poor thing, the hunters on her team thought. You need to communicate with her more. Hearing this, Ah Young laughed, causing confusion among the hunters. Shame on her to laugh at Min Ju. A janitor who took responsibility for something he didn't do. And the leader, who, along with the whole group, rushed to his aid. How did these people even end up in this rotten place? She still decided to help them, in exchange for meeting Kim Jun-woo. While Hai Young was looking for the car, the second group was ready to join her. The hero left the store, having bought a suit especially for the press conference. On the way, his colleague So Yun called him to ask if Min Ju had contacted him. The girl was worried because she had called her many times already, but she didn't pick up. The guy assumed that she was having a raid and couldn't answer. But she wasn't at work today, which is generally typical for managers. So Yun wanted to believe that the huntress was okay, but the day before she received a message from her, in which Min Ju asked the cleaning lady to dissuade the guy from going to the press if the huntress did not have time to do it herself. Hearing this, the guy quickly hung up and dialed Min Ju. What did she do again? The connection was not the best, but Kim understood that she and the team were going to Taejun. But what the hell, she doesn't work there. The girl told her plan. She was going to find evidence of the guy's innocence. On the day of the incident, there was a car in front of the dungeon entrance with a video recorder running. She and the team were already on their way, and if everything went well, she would have time to do everything by evening. The guy started yelling into the phone. He asked her not to interfere. But she could not do otherwise, since she was indebted to him. Stupid girl, it would be better if she did nothing, then he would gain a new skill. But he understood that she would no longer listen to him. He came up with a plan. The guy asked her for a photo of that car to prevent her from finding any evidence. She forwarded him a message with all the data and continued to say something, but the guy hung up. Such a fool. He needs to get there before them. The hero swung and slammed his face into the floor with all his might. People around were wondering what was wrong with him. Is he feeling bad? Maybe it's some kind of seizure. But the guy did it deliberately to activate the hyper-acceleration skill. Running past the houses in seconds, he hurried to cuddle that damn car. At this time, Ah Young came to the hospital to visit the injured boy. She pretended that she belonged to the Korean Association. A man, apparently his brother, was sitting by his bed. The girl tried to dissuade him from pressing charges. A press conference regarding the incident was scheduled for tomorrow morning. The case is still in progress, but it is already clear that the cleaner has nothing to do with it. If a man does not meet them, then it is not the guilty one who will suffer. But it was as if he wanted it. First of all, punish not the lousy cleaners, but personally Kim Jun-woo. He longed for the guy to come to an end. In one of the parking lots in the city of Taejun, the guy found the same car. While the driver was sitting peacefully in his car and discussing what he would have for dinner today, a guy knocked on his window. The man was frightened by the sight of Kim, as if he had seen a zombie. He really didn't look his best. There was blood all over my face. Jun-woo introduced himself as an employee of the association, hoping to persuade the man to help. While he was wondering what was happening, Kim stuck his hand through the window and in one movement broke the DVR that was hanging by the mirror. The man began to swear why the hell they broke his recorder, but Kim convinced him that the guys from the operations department would come and pay for the damage. Taking a couple of steps back, the hero again hit his head on the concrete floor and, when the system verified that the guy was ready for combat, then hyper-acceleration was activated. A flying zombie, the man thought as he moved at such speed as if he were flying. A second after this, the dust from Junu had not yet settled, when a team of hunters ran into the car. Kim Min-ju pretended that she was from the association, but he didn't want to hear. What do they need from him? This weirdo started, now they. Should he sue them so they can leave him alone? While he was talking to Min-ju, her team checked the car and the registrar was not there, apparently someone had beaten them to it. It was a disaster, all the evidence was there. The huntress thought that the one who originally placed Kim Jun-woo did it. At this time in the hospital, Assistant Ah Young did not understand what the brother of the injured boy was talking about. Which means he will only be happy to punish the guy. Maybe someone ordered him to do this. But the matter was different. According to him, he was fired because of Chief Lee, and there was no way he would listen to their orders after all this. No one apologized to him or his brother. The girl tried to convince him, explaining that the association was trying to figure everything out and take appropriate measures. To which he could not restrain himself and shouted that this was nothing more than window dressing. His words made the people around them stop and listen to their conversation. Everyone started whispering, and Ah Young realized that it would be better to come in another time. Too many extra ears. As soon as she left, the boy asked his brother to stop all this. The child did not like sitting in the hospital all day and receiving injections every day. Hearing this, the elder brother became angry, as everything was not going according to his plan. But tomorrow it all had to end, the boy just needed to sit quietly. How Kim Jun-woo climbed into the room through the window. Everything went too far. Now the hero understands everything. A simple person, and especially a child, cannot remove the heavy barrier. The guy also thought of placing the monster in a protected dungeon. But for a former hunter it is very easy. He wanted to take revenge on Kim using his little brother. The former hunter tried to justify his behavior. Allegedly, it's all Kim's fault. He doesn't even know what it's like to lose his job because of some janitor. He and his brother don't even have parents who can take care of them. After listening to all this, the hero forgave the guy, but not because he was inspired. Since tomorrow he will be able to unlock a new skill, there is no point in messing with this asshole, because it is thanks to him that the skill will unlock. Jun-woo left the room, finally telling the hunter not to do anything until tomorrow. And let him not try to take revenge on him. He'll end up badly anyway, get hit by a truck or something. And he advised him to treat his youngest well. The next day at 9 a.m. a press conference was held at the association's headquarters in Seoul. Kim Jun-woo from the cleanup department appeared in front of everyone and stood in front of the cameras with a microphone. The guy introduced himself and began to ask for forgiveness on camera to the boy who had suffered the day before. He decided not to make excuses and took full responsibility for the lack of a fence at the entrance to the dungeon. Kim was glad that he appeared on the air. Neither a small hunter nor a leader can stop him. Now he will be able to unlock the skill. The guy was happy. But Chief Park appeared from the crowd and took the blame. He walked up to the stage and Jun-woo tried to dissuade him. But the manager, Min-ju, had already asked him to block the guy. Why do they even try so hard for him? Park Gun-tae stood at the microphone and, introducing himself as the head of the third cleanup group, wished to take full responsibility. And as long as Kim Jun-woo is a member of his team, Boss Park will be responsible for all his mistakes. The rest of the cleaning team joined him, also taking blame for what happened. Moon So-yeon and Han Sang-hyuk were also here. They have already begun to greatly infuriate the hero. Why do they bother if they don't know anything? How did he even get to all this? The reporter asked if they believed the entire team was responsible for what happened. To which Kim remained silent, realizing the absurdity of this situation, while the rest of his colleagues each took the blame. People online didn't understand what was happening. Maybe it's some kind of show. After shouting at his colleagues and what was happening, Kim told reporters to write down that it was all his fault. Suddenly, the head of the second task force, Kim Min-ju, appeared at the stage. People around began to whisper, "She is the youngest of all the leaders." She brought the injured boy with her to say a few words on air. He said that he himself moved the fence and made his way into the dungeon because he was interested. And he honestly admitted his guilt. People around began to whisper, but Min-ju interrupted them and explained everything once again. The third clearing squad is not responsible for this incident, as they set up the barrier as always. After the broadcast, the boy's older brother was not sure whether they would believe him. And he was very lucky, since he did not say anything about his brother, but claimed that he did everything himself. He has a very good brother. And the guy himself behaved like a freak and used the younger one. He shouldn't have covered it. The guy decided to confess and take the blame for his action. They have no other relatives, and the elder must set an example for the younger. He understood that he could go to prison, but he needed to take responsibility for what he had done. In parting, the guy told his brother not to quarrel with friends and take care of his health. But things didn't go so smoothly for Kim. The system showed that the conditions for the new skill were not met. So far he had 4 skills, namely hyper-acceleration, fire, discipline and finally polymorph. During the performance, he thought that nothing would work out because of the team. However, this mess attracted even more attention. Initially, the public was not interested in the incident. It all started with 575 spectators and eventually reached 35,411 spectators. This damn world is terribly unfair. People showed interest in the cleaning team just because of one video in which So Yun appeared and everyone was interested in her appearance and why such a beauty was on the cleaning team. But the main thing is that with its help he was able to unlock a new skill. Some time had already passed and Kim Min-ju called the guy into her office. He was busy, but I had to come. And entering the office, he saw a familiar girl. Supervisor Min-ju said that Deputy Chief Lee Ah-young really wanted to meet him. She extended her hand to greet him, but the guy froze, remembering moments from the past. Is she really the same Lee Ah-young that the guy knew before? He should, of course, act normal, but he couldn't shake the fact that she had witnessed his death and was also a suspect. It's worth being on the lookout. The girl's hand was already tired of hanging and in the end they shook hands. She praised him for his brilliant performance at the press conference. But after the rumors, she imagined that there would be someone more charismatic. The guy did not understand her words, and she decided to get down to business. And she asked how far he plans to climb the career ladder. What does he want? Can become a team leader or department head. Kim still didn't understand what she was getting at. She promised to help him remove director So Min-chul. All she wanted was to change the association. And this was not her whim, but a necessity for the entire association. Before the guy came to the cleaning department, I couldn't even use the canteen. In this regard, the support department is not far behind them. At headquarters they are considered a lower caste. But then Jun-woo appeared and turned everything upside down. The guy didn't understand what she wanted from him, except the dismissal of the chiefs from the headquarters. But that wasn't her goal. She, of course, did not yet know how she would act, but she wanted to involve hunters in her plan. After all, the more trump cards they have up their sleeves, the better. At least with her support, the hero will reach his goal faster. Min-ju intervened in the conversation, asking how a deputy chief could resolve such issues. But Ah-young easily ignored this question, starting to offer help from the necessary equipment. Since the operations department did not want to offer this to the team. However, Kim knew why the girl spoke so confidently about this, even without being a director. Because her father is a member of the association. The CEO himself is Lee Do-sik. He was one of the giants running the association. Lee Ah-young received the position of director at such a young age thanks to her father. Even before the regression, of course, now she is a deputy. These two were the main pillars of the association. But, unfortunately, that period did not last long. 5 years later, Lee Do-sik was fired from his position. After the reform in the Seoul branch, they fell in the eyes of high officials. After this, Lee Ah-young also lost her power and became Kim Jun-woo's assistant. Perhaps this is what changed her and she became so cold. I wonder if her proposal has anything to do with Lee Do-sik. He was fired and explained that he did not meet the association standards. If this happens again now, their squad and the second task force will disappear from the association without a trace. After thinking about all this, the guy refused her offer. Yun couldn't understand what happened. Maybe he didn't like the conditions, he just needs to do what he already did. But Kim made his final decision and decided to do without her help, which surprised her very much. The hero even for a minute decided that it was Lee Ah-young who ordered his murder, although he did not want to believe it. He turned around and left the office to go to work. He approached the team, who stood at the open entrance to the dungeon, ready to work. It's time for them to get started, and the guy was quite late. And noticing only 2 colleagues, Kim asked where Han Sang-hyuk was. To which Boss Park said that the guy was on vacation from today, since his sister came to Korea and they had not seen each other for a long time, and he asked for a day off. According to Park, Sang-hyuk's sister is a hunter from the International Association. And it seems like she came for work and the cleaner had no one except her, so he received leave from the boss. And now the 3 of them will have to work together for a week. Kim imagined how annoying the janitor would be if his sister was a badass hunter. The team, consisting of only 3 people, went down into the dungeon to begin cleaning up. Carrying out routine work, at first they did not notice the extra man who had been circling around them all this time. They were already used to the fact that there were 4 of them working, and for a minute they forgot that Sang-hyuk was on vacation. The man said that he was sent here, and from today he will cover the work of their group for the press. But it is very strange that no one told them that a journalist would be with them. At least he was given permission at headquarters, so he decided that everyone was in the know. It was quite difficult to obtain permission, then why was a journalist assigned to them? It turned out that after the press conference, a lot of people became interested in them, and especially Moon So-yeon, the man thought. Their team gets a lot of buzz online and they bring a lot of value to the association. However, people do not really understand what they are doing. So the man decided to take this opportunity and write an article. It seemed like a good idea to So-yeon. It may benefit them if people know what they are doing. If a journalist writes an article about them, newbies may come to them. Boss Park decided that this would be more of a counter-advertising. It's unlikely that people will like this kind of work. On the contrary, things could get worse. Kim agreed with him at first, but then it dawned on him that if new people came, he could unlock another skill. The man could not guarantee that they would come to them, but promised to do everything in his power. Since Kim agreed to the article only on the condition that he would praise the profession of cleaners so that everyone would want to become one. The journalist promised to write something that even children would want to work with them. At least some plus, this article can help the hero. Director Lee and Chief Min Chol were talking in the office. The boss was worried whether the article about the janitors would harm them, maybe they should not publish it. After all, this can lead to people wanting to get a job with them, if the article is good, of course. But the director did not share his concerns. After all, cleaners come into the dungeon, dismember the corpses of monsters and wipe up the blood and guts behind them. It's simply impossible to write well about this. With this action, the director wanted to make the cleaners feel important. And at the last moment he realized that he had forgotten to warn the cleaners about the journalist's arrival. The cleaners were still busy at work, and time kept passing. The journalist was even surprised that they still couldn't finish considering that they were cleaning so much. The man decided to call Kim his elder brother and turn to him with questions. But upon learning that he was only a beginner in this work, he was amazed. The guy performed his duties so diligently and accurately. But Miss So-yeon has been working in the department for 2 years. You can rely on such a person. This journalist began to infuriate the hero. Does he eat batteries for breakfast? Noisy horror. The guy only tolerates him because of the article. A good article should attract new recruits. Having stumbled upon the monster, the journalist was truly scared. Is he really dead? He's very scary. He started pestering the guy again, but Kim decided to play along and pretend that dismembering corpses was his favorite part of his job. Sounds like fun. You can replace the picture of cutting up a monster carcass with cutting up a cute plush toy. Hearing this, the man backed away and stumbled. So-yeon and Park advised him to be careful. After all, In the dungeon there is a risk of running into trouble. Completely amazed by their work, journalist Sang Chan fainted. The team began to bring him to his senses, and Jun-woo was only glad that the journalist would not see all these terrible pictures and they would not appear in the article. Summing up, the journalist went through the facts. The team does not have enough workers, and the cleaning must be completed within 2 hours after clearing the dungeon. And they have 3 to 4 dungeons a day. And besides, before this they could not use the corporate canteen. So far the information has not been particularly enticing. The hero had to come up with what advantages there are in their profession. As a boss, Park gave him an idea, reminding him that his salary was coming today. His first salary. Here it is. Kim had no other arguments, but money. Even if it's a lousy job, people might be interested in money. I wonder how much he was paid for the joint raid. Some kind of nonsense. For 300 hours of work, only 3.5 million won. And this also comes with a bonus. This is 100 times less than what hunters are paid. Jun-woo thought it was an accountant's mistake and he forgot to add a 0 at the end. But his team was happy, because this month they received even more than before, and they also paid a bonus. The journalist managed to look into the guy's phone and saw the unfortunate 3.5 million won. For that kind of money, no one would work for them, even at gunpoint, Kim thought. At this rate, the article will not help them. So the guy had to cheat and say that it was only half the money. It's as if their squad gets paid twice a month. The reporter easily believed him, since with such hard work there could not be such a paltry salary. Having estimated, he realized that they earn approximately 7 million won a month, and Kim happily confirmed his words. San-chuk felt that this was a worthy payment for their hard work. The public will probably be interested in reading about them. The team shushed the guy because he blatantly lied. If this becomes known, they will never hire new employees. But Kim said that it was true and the journalist believed him, making new notes in his notebook. The director of the department took responsibility for what happened. Kim Jun-woo is a beast. He may be related to the chairman, but he is still just a person. His behavior cannot be justified in any way. Although it's not even about the cleaners. Therefore, there is no point in stressing over them. They just better stay away from this psycho. We will avoid personal meetings with him, the director was about to say, when the janitor Jun-woo flew into his office. What a bastard. What brought him here? As if reading his thoughts, the guy asked the director to increase his salary. Unheard of audacity. He's only been working here for a month and he's already asking for a promotion. Plus they have a contract that hasn't expired yet. To him. The director gave up and asked how much he wanted and was shocked by the amount. He asked to double his salary. According to the director, they are already paid quite well, which is why he even decided to talk about raising wages. But Kim did not agree. Even taking into account the bonus, it does not correspond to the work done. Still, the director went to meet him and will try to do something. But apparently the hero was misunderstood. He asks for a salary increase not only for himself, but also for all members of the squad. The man tried to remain patient. Why is the guy doing this to him? It's like he can't stand it. He asks for an increase in pay for the entire team. Even in ordinary companies this is unacceptable. In addition, their cleaners are all unqualified specialists. He tried to gently refuse him, Kim thought. He has nerves of steel, he would have sent him long ago. But no matter how much he wants to please him, this issue must be decided by the board of directors. It seems the guy rushed things a little. He decided that he could unlock 2 skills at once, but it seemed that he had hoped in vain. Mr. Lee entered the office without knocking, debating whether to give the task to the first squad. And in the middle of a sentence, he noticed the director had a guest in his office. Kim, without saying hello, headed towards the exit door. This mop man didn't even bother to greet the CEO. An ill-mannered asshole. Mr. Lee stopped him, unable to believe his eyes. It turns out he's a fan. And the circumstances turned out that he came across Kim Jun-woo, from the cleanup department, and was able to take a photo with him. He even felt how his daughter felt when she was chasing her favorite idols. CEO Lee Do-sik. A man who will soon be removed, but is now one of the most powerful figures in the association. The guy tried not to cross paths with him, but in the end they met. And that Lee Ah-young is still chasing idols. But how does Mr. Lee know about him? He asked him. But this is not surprising. The whole headquarters now knows about him. He goes out of his way for the sake of the squad. In addition, the hero gave Im Dong-bin a hard time. And now he also secretly leads the second task force. There are rumors that he is even going to take over the entire headquarters, the CEO said with a laugh. And I finally decided to ask the guy why he came here. And when he heard that he had come for a salary increase, he said that you should immediately contact him on this issue. He is also a member of the board of directors. Moreover, he is well aware that cleaners are paid unforgivably little. And he was ready to do the guy a favor, but for a reason. Since there is a certain risk of raising this issue at the board of directors. What does he want from him? According to the monthly report, the first task force was allocated about 100 dungeons. And most likely So Min-chul will transfer all this goodness to Lee Soo-young. However, the guy's work in the second operational group will be beneficial to the general director. And it doesn't matter whether he is a cleaner or a hunter, he needs to show a good result together with the squad. And then this will be a good reason for raising wages. Together with the second operational group, he needs to overtake the first group in terms of results. In addition, Jun-woo was one of those who led the joint raid. Surely he can handle it. If he succeeds, the general director will raise this issue at the board of directors. In this case, he will be able to guarantee a positive outcome. He just needs to show what he is capable of. A couple of days later, Teacher Kim gathered together a team of cleaners and hunters from the second task force, led by Kim Min-ju. Why did he bring them here, thought manager Kim, they have quite a lot of work to do. Jun-woo showed his powers of persuasion and decided to lift the spirit of the team by offering to unite and show everyone the best result. However, the hunting team did not even have time to complete the plan this month. The first group is actively helped by So Min-chul, and for the third group they allocated funds for a freelance hunter. But Jun-woo decided to make sure that they kill everyone. And so the guy decided to help them. They should at least try. This way they can prove that they cannot be treated with disdain. They must show what they are worth. His words inspired Min-ju. Since the teacher himself believed in her and the team so much, how could they not be ready? If Kim Jun-woo wants to help them, then there is no reason to refuse. The hunters were ready for anything. This is all great, but the cleaning squad must also carry out its plan. After all, no one relieved them of their duties as cleaners. There is a lot of work, so you need a clear and specific plan. They need to create an ideal tandem with a well-balanced balance of everyone's actions. We just need to combine our efforts. But when Lee Ah-young came in, he decided to use her help. The girl started making fun of the guy. At first he refused her help, but now he asks for it. It even upset her a little. If it had been another person, she wouldn't have lifted a finger. But since she herself offered to help him, then of course she will help. The hero understood that they could not cope if they acted only through the efforts of two groups, so he had to ignore his pride and ask Lee Ah-young for help. The girl was interested in what he wanted from her. According to his idea, they should have done the job better than other teams. This was their chance. And it doesn't matter how they act, because the main thing is to become the first. Therefore, he asked the girl to equip them with weapons and consumables above A rank. And so that the hunter's equipment is changed every 2 days. In addition, it is worth considering the logistics of the dungeons and providing the cleaning squad with drones. But Ah-young didn't understand why the hell they needed so much equipment. And without this, you can normally organize the work of two teams. But normal is not enough. He doesn't just want to improve the team's performance, he wants to destroy this damn leader. The guy wasn't going to lose to these idiots who think it's all about the number of people in a group. They should be the first. As far as Ah-young knew, this time the department gave too much important information to the first task force. Even united, they are very far behind them in terms of awareness. No need to worry, because no one knows where and when the dungeon will appear. But his intuition told the guy that something was about to open nearby. While they were discussing the intricacies and were deep in thought, it turned out that the journalist was standing in the room. Are the cleaners really going to lead such a large-scale raid? There was a sound outside. What's going on there? Looks like this is the dungeon he was talking about. It's time to start cleaning up. And the support department will try to help them. Ah Yun ordered her IT team to cover as many CCTV cameras as possible. The preparation of the equipment was slightly delayed. There were not enough materials, production was temporarily stopped. If they delay, the team's schedule will be disrupted. We need to contact the control room and get more weapons and equipment. Assistant Min Ju was excited. And she was afraid that the first task force would find out everything and get in trouble with them all. But Ah Young didn't care. Whatever they say at headquarters, let them carry out her commands. She will take all responsibility upon herself. She won't miss a chance to humiliate So Min Chul and Lee Soo Young. Having entered the dungeon, the hunters began to work. Min Ju made a couple of attempts to defeat the skeleton monsters, but they did not give up so quickly. It was as if they were made of metal. As durable as a giant ogre. They should use the skills. Junwoo told them the weak points of the monsters. They should hit the cervical vertebrae from the back. After listening to his instructions, the hunters rushed into battle. The fight continued and the skeletons were defeated one by one. Using their skills, they were all able to defeat the small monsters together. Only the big boss remained. Even the hero noticed that for a new leader, Kim Min-ju had time to grow so much in combat training. While the guy was watching the team's actions and coordinating them if necessary, he didn't even notice how a bony, huge skeleton hand appeared at his feet. Using the sword that he found nearby and activating the discipline skill, the guy with a slight movement of his foot threw the sword with its tip directly into the skull of the skeleton and he fell dead. Now it's the cleaner's turn. Even the support department did a great job and provided drones, on which Chief Park and his team arrived. They were even given cutters of amazing power. The work on site has been completed. The next dungeon was spotted in the Seocho area. Equipment and additional people have already been sent there. The hunters' training was not in vain, and the cleaners did a great job with such and such new equipment. At this rate, they are guaranteed first place. Judging by the results, the first and second task forces were on par with 22 dungeons per raid. The third operational group managed 19 dungeons during the same time, and the fourth group only completed 10. Judging by the results, the second group significantly reduced the difference and now they have every chance of overtaking the first group. Hearing this, the director was furious. Is it just because he refused to give that lousy janitor a raise? The first task force worked hard in the dungeon against the next boss. But the boss did not have enough of their zeal. Just idiots, let them use their skills. The clearing of the dungeon took place under the leadership of So Min Chul and Lee Soo Young. The hunters worked too long. The second task force and the third cleanup group worked under the leadership of Kim Jun-woo. He did not criticize people, but gave practical advice on attacking monsters. For example, this monster will become stronger over time, so you need to deal with it as quickly as possible. But the cleaners can rest while there is still time. But the team was determined to succeed, and decided to postpone the rest, but finish an hour earlier. Third cleanup team and freelance hunter. On the third day of the raid, the second group was one dungeon ahead of the first, 25 to 24 in their favor. At this time, in the office they came to the director with a report. They say that the hunters from the second group and the cleaners from the third group have united, and the support department is covering their rear. Support department, this must be Lee Ah-young. Did the CEO really have a hand in this? He was not happy with the results of the first group from the very beginning, but he would not do this to those who are literally the face of the association. However, even if the general is involved in this, such an association can become a leader. All he came up with was to push the work onto the head of the department for monitoring the work of the detachments, Pyong Chan-hyuk. In short, now the second group should not be given permission to clear dungeons. Chan-hyuk was amazed at the director's request. What does it mean? But the director was not mistaken in his expressions. Let these freaks from the second group and everyone else no longer be given jobs. Work in the dungeon was in full swing. The dungeon was cleared of monsters and they even had extra time. Leader Min Ju asked the guy if they should start working on another dungeon. But for now, 5 dungeons a day will be enough for them. It's better to save your energy and give it your all in the end. The cleaners were not against it, and with the new equipment, things went faster and more happily. And Kim still tried to convince the journalist that anyone could do this job. A cutter, for example, is a good assistant in dismembering monsters, and drones handle disinfection. They just have to monitor the process. Isn't this a dream job? But his words did not greatly convince the journalist. They just planned it all. The equipment will have to be returned. Then the guy began to be more polite and explained the situation. New employees are needed in the cleaning department. They only got this far because of his article anyway. The journalist thought why he didn't explain everything to him right away, he certainly would have helped. A couple of minutes later, turning to the cleanup department, Deputy Director Ah Young conveyed urgent news through the walkie-talkie. She had just received information that the first task force had received a license for the entire dungeon. Holy shit, this is the squad led by So Min Chul. What the hell is going on there? The first group has already intercepted 3 more dungeons. And one more problem: the number of hunters in the first group. Now there are 3 times more of them than before. The rest of the cleaners simply follow the order, but they fail. They even manage to get ahead of their group by 3 dungeons, and in this situation they would be completely fucked. Those at the top understand that time for cleaning is limited, and people may simply not have time. But the sheriff, of course, does not care about the problems of the Indians. Only their squad must also clean up these dungeons. And what should they do now? If they don't take first place this time, then they won't get a good article, much less a good salary. The guy just can't fail this case. There's too much at stake. The first group will soon reach their limit, and if they try, they will have time to catch up with them. But now the main problem is that some dungeons may remain uncleaned. In such dungeons, even a protective mask will not save you. This risks causing the cleaning schedule to go to the wrong place. And it is possible that they will have to clean out dungeons where there are living monsters. Kim didn't care, but what about the others? He was worried about the team. A scandal was brewing at the Yongdepo Functional Change Management Association. 3 unclean dungeons have already been discovered in Seoul. So Min Chul, you son of a bitch. What did the director come up with, that his squad is the only one in the association? What is he even going to do with a bunch of dungeons that they can't even clear? Lee Do-sik was seething with anger. And he sent his assistant to fetch the leader of the unit control. Let him explain immediately. At that moment, his daughter showed up to him after hours. But she came for a reason. At first he was confused not by her subordination, but by her manners. But the girl laughed that this was coming from her father, who doesn't even wash his own dishes. While he was seething with anger, Ah Young suggested not to make a fuss just because of a couple of unclean dungeons. How can this girl not understand the danger these dungeons pose? It turned out that the girl had already just started working on this problem. The third clearing team, the support team and the second operational group will deal with the unclean dungeons. Even though she didn't like the idea, it was the order of their new leader. And the guy also conveyed a message to Do-sik with the girl. They may have lost the battle, but not the war. Heading towards the exit, she was indignant. Why don't they meet in person rather than convey everything through her? Both were tortured. She already has a lot of work, now she still needs to clear the dungeon. We'll have fun with a brush. The door slammed behind her, and the man began to shake with laughter. Just look at these idiots. We lost the battle, but not the war means they are going to beat everyone else next time. The self-proclaimed leader ordered the task force and support team to clean up. Real psychos. The man ordered his secretary to contact the chairman of the association and assemble a disciplinary committee. Looks like the cleaners are going to kick So Min Chul's ass this time. How can a director be? He can recall the task force, but for this he will be skinned. If he stops the operation, it will cause a storm of indignation not only among other units, but also on the board of directors. And considering that they only gave permission to clear the dungeons to one group, they will become enemies for everyone else. It's too late to try to fix anything now. The assistants were already reproaching themselves for getting involved with So Min Chul. A guy flew into the room with good news. There is a chance that the raids will not be cancelled, and all because the second task force and support team went to clean up. In this case, nothing prevents them from continuing to clear the dungeons. Luck is on their side. The second group will not be able to participate in raids, and they will have a chance to win. By the way, now you don't have to worry about cleaning. But the director did not share this opinion. The assistants don't seem to think with their own heads at all. They were literally deprived of the chance to make amends. They certainly screwed up big time. The teams worked hard. Even Ah Yun herself got to work, although she did not do it very well. For some reason, she couldn't cut the monster's body, but the leader, Min Ju, happily told her. After all, brute force will not help here. You just need to make cuts in certain places. She would help, but the huntress needs to have time to wash off all the blood, so she will only show what needs to be done. For the first time, Ah Young did a great job. And I couldn't help but notice that the team leader, Kim Min Ju, knows a lot about the work of cleaners. The girl told how she helped them for some time. Jun Woo approached them and hurried the girls. They need to leave this dungeon before it closes. They had a great job today and were hungry. The huntress noticed that the teacher's face had changed in a negative direction, so she asked him about it. It turned out that the guy felt guilty. He promised them first place, but had to back down due to circumstances. And he ended up making them puff in vain. The girl was excited and surprised. Is he really worried about them? He's not as insensitive as she thought. She hastened to calm him down. After all, without him everything would have been the same, but he still gave them hope. And any detachment wishing to take the first place would first go to the cleaning team for help. They still have so much to do. That's right, and there's now 4 times more work. They only have 3 weeks. You can't stop. And Yun agreed, but she still has to work with the team on the night shift. They need to clean it all up. The team was already dreaming about dinner, on the way to the exit from the dungeon, where CEO Lee Do-sik was waiting for them. Even the association already knows what happened. So they won't get first place. The dispatch team has revoked all bans on clearing dungeons. It was clear from the rating how far the first group was ahead. They completed as many as 55 dungeons, and their team still had 25 dungeons left. Now they were in second place according to the general director. Hearing this, the team was very happy, because despite the fact that they had not worked for the association for 2 whole days, they still remained in second place. The guy was not happy with this. With such success, he would not be able to discover a new skill until they became the first. But the journalist was not going to lie about their victory, and was going to tell everything that he actually saw. Even though they lost, they still feel like winners. Then why the hell was Kim being polite to him all this time? In any case, if not for their teamwork, something irreparable would have happened. The CEO intended to bring So Min Chul to justice to the fullest extent of the association's charter. And the man separately turned to the hero so that he would come to his office in his free time. This is too obvious. Just as before his regression, a reform of the headquarters is planned. He shouldn't go there. The cleaners were about to leave when Ah Yun gathered everyone for a feast. Get ready for the festive dinner. And they even began to persuade Kim to join. Was he really going to leave the team again? But he decided that it was easier to agree than to argue with them again. Everyone was having fun except Jun Woo and Ah Young. He was not interested in this at all, and the girl was ashamed of her father, who danced with the cleaners and hunters while drinking. Well, why the hell did he agree? After the latest incident, a disciplinary commission was assembled at headquarters. Leader Lee Soo-young justified himself by blaming the first task force. It's as if they took the initiative themselves. It worked, so he only got a warning. But So Min Chul's performance was even more of a spectacle. According to him, he only wanted to make the first group a more elite squad in order to improve the image of their association. However, he never thought that everything would go so far. In short, his salary was cut sourly. Even though So Min Chul only took a pay cut, CEO Lee Do-sik is still a ruthless man. In the end, he even reprimanded the head of control. So much so that he decided to personally apologize to him. In general, this is where it all ended. The next day, the hero visited Ah Young's office. Why was he called here, he thought. Unscrupulous guy, he has no idea. He never gave the girl the reward for their joint work. Kim decided to play on her nerves. And then he asked the girl if it was at the request of her father, Mr. Lee Do-sik, that she helped him. But the girl referred to her own reasons, and only then noted that he knew about her relationship with Do-sik. Even in the association, few people know about this. But the guy blurted out that he heard this during yesterday's dinner and quickly changed the subject. After the incident, the employees will definitely not be left without attention. Even without permission, they arrogantly intervened in a showdown between groups of hunters. But at least they were able to help the second group take second place. It was worth it. But it turned out that the object of envy was not the second task force, but the cleaning squad. Second place is a very good option. In fact, if it weren't for the stripping ban, they would have taken first place. But what's more important is that they managed to unite and throw all their efforts into cleaning. Everyone in the association must have been shocked by this, because usually no one thinks about cleaning, the management only cares about the destruction of monsters. You could say they made their contribution to maintaining the image. The guy did not fully understand what was happening and how it related to their agreement. Management is going to change another cleaning team. This incident must have made it clear to the association how important cleaners are. Preparations for the formation of a new detachment are already in full swing. And that was good news. Ah Yun wanted Kim to select people for the new cleaning squad. Which was strange, because he has no powers. He's just an ordinary cleaner. But judging by the rules, the group leader can recruit employees, which means the guy has been promoted. That was incredible. How could they promote a person who had been working here for only 2 months, and even to the position of manager? What will happen to Chief Park then? The girl was amused by his words. And it turns out that in light of recent events, the association has created a new position for cleaning manager. Mr. Park will hold this position. Surprisingly, even hunters don't have a manager, but they will. Obviously, this could not have happened without Lee Do-sik. Initially, Ah Young wanted to put the hero in this place, but she knew that the guy would be stubborn. To be honest, the offer to become a squad leader isn't that bad. The guy does not need a certain status to unlock the following skills. However, the squad leader is a rather boring position. What does a girl have to do with hiring workers? Not really, but wouldn't the guy want a new member to join them? In any case, he should take a closer look at the people around him. He can even look for workers in a private company or choose a random passerby on the street. But there is no need for this, soon those who wish will ask them themselves. The guy had high hopes for the journalist and his article. He asked him to write a decent article to present the cleanup squad in the best light. Many people will come to them with such an article, they will choose one of them. It turned out that everything was not so rosy. The article had already been published and did not reflect it in the best way. Kim got into his phone and was horrified. What the fuck? The title of the article was as follows. Exclusive Cleaners and the CEO of the Association. Cleaning up dungeons after a raid is the job of the cleanup department. Every day he dismembers the corpses of monsters and removes their remains, and in the process of work they encounter poisons, deadly fumes and other things. In addition, workdays are exhausting due to the intensity of the work. Just look at it and you'd think it was a virtual game. As it turned out, dismembering and collecting corpses is not all the work of the cleaners. Due to the heavy busyness of other hunting squads, Kim Jun-woo from the 3rd cleanup team planned and led the joint work with other departments. The cleaning team is more than just a cleaning team. This is the pillar of the entire association, which ensures the efficiency and quality of work in the dungeons. The hope of the association is the planning team. That is why they need the most capable and talented workers. Although the salary is small, they have no disadvantages despite the fact that they are considered reserves in the organization. It's better to look at Kim Jun-woo. He is an excellent leader and the soul of the company, serving as an example to many. This is a person who always looks to the future. The leader of this era. The girl was inspired. The article turned out better than she had hoped. Plus the reaction from people was wonderful. The cleanup team is now a special task force. People seem to be slowly warming up to the cleaners. So, just in case, she found out, but no one had applied to join yet. After all, the article said that the employee must have outstanding skills, but the salary will be low. This is enough to prevent people from rushing to work with them. Gu Sang-chan, what an asshole. There was no sugarcoating it. The boss and the director discussed the promotion of Kim Jun-woo. They also introduced a new position, cleaning manager. And the only person who can do this is Lee Do-sik, their CEO. He again gave them another headache. It doesn't matter who takes the new position. Kim Jun-woo will have real power. In addition, a sixth cleansing group has been created. They have to make sure that this new cleaning squad sweeps out Jun-woo's group. They are going to put their own man in place of the leader, who is more suitable for them than Jun-woo. He even influenced Kim Min-ju and she is now helping him. So they will create their own cleaning team, which will increase their influence. Moreover, Song Chul-sik and Go Eun-young are also aimed at leadership positions. They are on their side, and have already managed to contact private guilds to find talented guys. A month ago, no one needed a cleaning squad for nothing, especially to introduce a new position. But it still makes sense. Now the people responsible for supervising the squads want to team up with the cleaners, and not just the second operational group and the support department. At this rate, they will become a separate division with great influence. But if they can team up with the new cleanup squad, they will regain their position in the association. Depending on who they put in charge of the new cleaning squad, they have a chance to change the course of the game. But in any case, you need to look for someone. For example, among the hunters of Gyeonggi-do. He didn't make any special demands, it was just cleaning. Let's just have experience working in dungeons, and then it will go from there. But the boss was interested in what to do with Kim Jun-woo. He would most likely be interested in the detachment. To this, the director suggested looking for a worthy candidate for him. Let them bring a young and full of strength guy, then they will see which of them is better. They can't lose this time, even if they have to fight. The director was serious. The boss even saw an empty cigarette pack. The man had not smoked for almost 4 years, but this situation threw him off balance. Kim sat quietly, drinking hot tea. It's been a long time since the last marathon of raids. Well, they had fun then. Hunter Min-ju heard this and was surprised. What fun, he doesn't have any friends at all. He was also appointed to such an important position. Become a manager after 2 months of work. He will have a hard time, others may not accept his command. But the girl did not share his worries. This was the right decision on the part of management. The guy shouldn't have remained an ordinary cleaner, given all his skills and knowledge. But something was still unresolved. The hero needs to take care of recruiting new employees. But he stubbornly denied his participation. How will he even find workers? He didn't even have anyone in mind. And to be honest, after the marathon, Kim was so tired that he didn't want to work at all. He decided that the management would cope just fine without him. The conditions for unlocking a new skill will still be met, so why bother? And yet, if he were recruiting a team, which employee would he prefer? His choice would have fallen on an easygoing and good-natured guy who would take on most of the work, giving the hero a rest. But if the huntress were given a choice, she would look for a fair man who cares about his colleagues, like her teacher Jun-woo. Their conversation was interrupted by a guy timidly entering the room. He introduced himself as Pyeok Chang-hyun, the head of the control group. He called the hero the other day. Another mongrel of So Min-chul, thought Kim. He even felt sorry for him. After all, he seemed to be out of business, but still received a reprimand. Kim asked why the guy showed up to them, to which he grabbed the cleaner's jacket and plaintively began asking him to recruit people to the 6th cleanup group as soon as possible. So Min-chul, Go Eun-young and also Song Chul-sik. They want to assemble a 6th group only from their own people, who will obey them and deliver everything they need. The boy clung to him and didn't want to let go. But the guy wished only the best for him, as well as for himself. Nobody wants to work with So Min-chul. Be that as it may, now all eyes are turned to the new squad. It's not there yet, but everyone wants to grab a piece. It is worth understanding that now everyone will try to take control of the group. Kim didn't even believe that someone was capable of cutting out another's throat for the sake of a new purge squad. Moreover, they are going to find the guy and put him in charge. And for this he must be at least on par with Jun-woo. But then it's not logical. Why would a person with such skills join the cleaning squad? It's so stupid, they're trying to corner the guy. That's why the guy was so excited when he came with the news. Kim must prepare himself and recruit the guys. He was even kindly provided with a list of top hunters from famous guilds, active and closed. The hero just has to say, and the department will allocate a budget for new employees. Although the guy was promoted, the new squad could become a threat to him if it gets out of control. Since when did this guy and the department in general care about the fate of the cleaners? And other team members would be happy if Kim directly took part in the selection of candidates. Although if you think about it, it's a pretty tempting offer. Moreover, to unlock another skill, cleaners' job satisfaction must be increased by 30% or more. Having considered this option, the guy decided to look through the list of prospective employees. This could be a new chance. On the other side of the city, a guy walked into a room and grimaced at the terrible smell. The girl sat on the sofa, completely covered with garbage, and looked at the phone. She scared the guy to death. Even if she was fired, this is not a reason to become a garbage dump queen. Let him go out of the house and get some air. But she was no longer interested in this. The girl came across an interesting article. The cleaning squad led the joint raid. Just hearing her words made him afraid. She's not going to join the cleaners. Former hunter of the International Association Ha Yubin, on the contrary, reproached the guy about his words about finding her a job. Kim was wondering how to increase job satisfaction to unlock a new skill. After all, their motivation to work directly depends on their salary and good working conditions. The problem is that being a janitor doesn't involve any of this. The progress he managed to achieve was only 18%, but even this was not easy for him. However, if you form a new team, the work will go better. The main problem is the atmosphere. A person who is able to create a good atmosphere also knows how to understand the desires and needs of the team. And the new team needs such a person. Standing in front of the man, the hero talked with him about the opening of a new detachment. The man was previously a member of the guild, but was now unemployed and considered his arrival an invitation. But Jun-woo didn't even think about inviting him. I was just about to get some advice. Now the guy has to select employees for the new squad. The guy was interested in which guild he should look for workers in and whether the rank and experience of hunters is important. But if a man wants to get into the association, then in his case he should go to the operational detachment, and not to the cleaners. The guy's words made him very angry, and he loudly hit the table, drawing the attention of all the cafe visitors in their direction. Kim already regretted coming here. The man intended to join the association, he would regret it. Who is he pretending to be? He has an A rank. All past candidates were of two types. The first, excellent hunters, willing to join the cleaning squad. Second, idiots who think they are incredibly cool and want to become cleaners. Why the hell are they all so eager for them? And why did they even give him this damn list? After a while, Young called him and once again made sure that it was not in vain that she decided to entrust him with this work. At least because an interesting lady was now sitting in the deputy director's office. Now the former huntress Han Yubing was in her office. She quickly called the guy to come to headquarters. When he showed up at the office and saw the girl, he realized that he didn't know who she was. But Young was delighted and did not understand how he was able to find her and persuade her to come here. But he had nothing to do with it. Han Yubing was not disappointed when she saw the guy, because in real life the guy looked even cooler. What a bore, let's start the interview. After looking through the resume, the guy discovered that the girl had previously been in the International Hunters Association. Why would such a person apply to the cleaning squad? With such experience, she should go to the operations department or a private guild. True, the girl did not agree with him, because she was deprived of her hunter's license. She can no longer do anything, and she can no longer work as a hunter. That's why she came here. She read from the article that they were doing something similar. And the guy needs workers. Although it seemed like he was trying to dissuade her. Maybe she doesn't know what the cleaner's job is. She wondered why the employer did not ask why she was deprived of her license. But he didn't care. Yu Bing explained that she understands all the intricacies of the work. In the USA, for example, cleaners are engaged in scrubbing dungeons until they shine. But in Korea, cleaners coordinate special tasks. And they participate in large, joint raids. Damn, she doesn't have everything at home. Apparently she had read this stupid article. But the guy was ready to disappoint her. After all, they are the same simple cleaners as in America, nothing special. The girl was not surprised by his words, since she heard the same thing when she became a hunter in America. Contrary to rumors, the operations department deals with insignificant and trivial things. Also, the salary is not high. That's exactly what she was told, but it was just a ploy to weed out the idiots. But she ate the dog at this trick will not work with her. The girl clearly says hello, but she has enormous experience. Worked in an international association. She had the highest status in the ranking system berserker, simply an ideal hunter. There is only one nuance, her skills have nothing to do with the work of cleaners. Kim decided that she was the same as past candidates. Good abilities and self-esteem, which can support the sky. In addition, she does not understand what exactly the cleanup department does. Talented, but not suitable for them, and besides, she was fired. Wait a second, didn't Chief Park tell them that Sang Hyuk has a sister who is a hunter from the International Association? The guy asked if Hyuk was her brother. Hearing this, she asked the guy not to tell his brother that she was there. Who would have thought? Since her brother works with them, she still won't be biased towards the work. He almost kicked her out of the house yesterday. Sang Hyuk is his colleague, especially since she has excellent skills, so maybe he can take her to the team. At this time, brother Sang Hyuk burst into the office. This is a crazy woman. He told her not to come here. She can't even clean up the dishes, but now she's going to clean the dungeons. A family squabble began, and Jun-woo felt out of place. The brother was pushing his sister, so why the hell did she bother him at work? Or fuck it. The day of the formal interview. All the important people were there. HR manager, director and regular cleaner Kim. The hero understood that he did not belong here. But Lee Ah-young stubbornly argued that without the presence of an ordinary employee, it would be impossible to hire anyone. Why did she even bother with him? Is it really so difficult to hire someone to work as a cleaner? In addition, you need to choose between highly qualified specialists. So many candidates. A-rank hunter, former task force leader and former member of the International Association. And Young understood that they didn't have much time, and the girl who recently showed up to her was quite an interesting person. Although Kim would rather choose the man from the cafe he recently met. He is, of course, strange, although it depends on who you compare him with. The interview began and the applicants were given theoretical situations. For example, during a raid they encounter a monster that they cannot immediately subdue or destroy, what will be their actions? Mr. Kang Woo-hyuk answered first, and then in order of priority. The guy thought through everything and began the story. For starters, if this is a multi-zone dungeon, then they should immediately reconsider their strategy. Contact with such a monster without a plan can lead to pointless casualties. Go Eun-young nominated this guy. Not bad advice for a former task force leader. The next speaker was No So-min, nominated by Song Chul-sik. Abandoning the strategy, he said, would entail significant losses. The best thing to do is ask for help and continue working. A typical answer that will please your boss. Next is Shin Tae-hwan, Director Seo-min Chol's nominee. You can pause the raid and cooperate with another team. This way, financial losses will be minimized. The former guild member who was one of the top 10 best hunters in Korea also performed well. Seo-min Chol would never let such a guy go. This is such an ideal answer that it could be called correct. Kim Jun-woo's candidate was former huntress Han Yubin, former member of the International Association. The guy was interested in what she would answer. And she began her story. Since the cleaners are the last to be led into the dungeon, then if a monster is discovered there, this is at least a serious mistake on the part of the task force. But she wouldn't be scared, she would simply kill the freak. Yeah, the lady with quirks, thought the guy. And where did she come from? At this time, the manager Kim Min-ju, the cleaning lady So Yun and Lee Ah-young were sitting in the office separately from everyone else. They are not used to sitting in one place for so long. It's true, circumstances really get on your nerves. So Yun asked the girls if it was true that all the candidates were former hunters and received an affirmative answer. True, this doesn't mean anything, since they aim to be cleaners. But in truth, everyone would like to find someone who will become the next Kim Jun-woo. Hunter Min-ju was calm and joyful. Everyone seems to think it's so easy. However, Jun-woo is an exception to the rule, and it is impossible to find someone like him. And Young explained that this was more for the amusement of their management. They just like to make tracing paper, to look for an exact copy of something popular. But the cleaners are neither cold nor hot because of this. This is judging by the candidates who were chosen yesterday for the cleanup department. For the top of the association, the new squad of cleaners is nothing more than a toy. Although the cleaning squad now has so many opportunities. That is why Ah-young sincerely wanted Jun-woo to win this fight. At least his candidate is credible. Remembering the candidate, Min-ju and So-yun asked who he brought. Maybe some girl. And Young herself knew a little, but his candidacy is an extremely unusual girl. The interview did not stop. Han Yu-bing did not want to accept following the rules. I see the goal means the end of this goal. What about equipment? In America everyone had a separate set. And if you put the association and the team in the balance, she will certainly choose her partners, how else? They had strange rules. She didn't understand why she should ask permission to attack the monster. After all, it's more important not to comply with idiotic rules or save the face of the company, but to save people from monsters. And all her answers were in this spirit. How could she even be accepted into the International Association? The director thought about her words and referred to her American behavior. And the guy, to be honest, didn't care whether she passed or not. There was a much more important problem. Shin Tae-hwan is the most suitable candidate in their eyes. But it is he who will not bring any benefit to the cleaning team. They won't work more effectively with him. The worst option is shorter. Just a minute though. What if you don't take anyone? The boss and the director asked all the questions they were interested in and the turn came to Kim Jun-woo. And he asked all the candidates into how many parts the corpse of a centipede-type monster should be cut into. His question confused the boss, but on the other hand, he didn't say anything like that. Where do they think they are recruiting people? They need employees for the cleaning department, for the cleaning team. In this case, there is no problem asking them directly about what is directly related to work. They're not recruiting hunters here. And judging by the deafening silence, none of them know. The guy decided not to give up and show that the candidates were simply not suitable for them and asked one more question. Let's say that if human blood and the blood of monsters mix and flood the walls of the dungeon, then what is the best way to wash it off? Silence again. The hero slammed his palm on the table in anger. If they don't know such basic things, then their department is not interested in them out of uselessness. Kim is not imposing my opinion, but he made it clear that, in his opinion, none of those present are suitable for the position. Afterwards, a man approached the guy, outraged by his radical statement. Kim understood that he sometimes cuts from the shoulder, but there is a reason for this, which he voiced. He just turned the whole interview upside down. The man was still not comfortable with Jun-woo's presence. The guy shouldn't forget about his status. It's unlikely that his opinion means anything. Kim was finally left alone and thought about his words. But the guy is now worried about something else. Oh shit. Where did this girl come from? Yu Bing was indignant about the interview questions. They praised their organization so much, that's why she came. What a stubborn girl she is. The hero was sure that even in her America they don't hire workers who don't know anything. If she really wants to become part of the squad, then she needs to prepare hard. And if she came to the interview just for show, then she should prepare for a beating from the guy. She decided that the cleaners were kicking bolts here. Yu Bing didn't expect such a harsh conversation and couldn't say anything. If it were up to him, he would throw them all out of the association. But they were very lucky that the interview was postponed. Let him prepare at least a little, otherwise he may not even come. The girl sat in the room full of anger. For the first time in her life she experienced such humiliation. This had never happened to her while she lived in America. What an insensitive piece of shit, you stupid mop man. She was so noisy that her brother even came and reprimanded her. But she didn't want to see anyone from the damn cleaning squad. Sang Hyuk cares about her, and she says these things to him. And in general, he better thank Jun-woo for letting her down not in public. And the guys said this not only because they are on the same team. When it comes to work in their team, Kim becomes a completely different person. And in general, she's stupid. Did she really think it would be so easy? Yu Bing just laughed, he still hates her. But she has a chance at the second interview, even though she didn't believe it. Jun-woo clearly told her that she doesn't know anything about cleaning. Even if she managed to pass the practical part, he would still not let her advance further. Her brother decided to support her and cheer her up, citing the fact that she would have to do the cleaning. For his sister to do the cleaning is simply unimaginable. There was a knock on their door, and the girl decided that her brother had ordered delivery, but he hastened to assure her otherwise. Kim Min-ju and So-yeon appeared on their doorstep without warning. Why did they even show up? The girls decided to help Han Yu-bing prepare for the interview. And all because of the practical part of the interview, it is quite difficult. The entire cleaning team came to help her. The experts in their field would definitely not disturb her. Mr. Park, Lee Ah-young and the others were only too happy to help. Even the man from the management department was here, and as soon as he crossed the threshold, he began to persistently convince the girl that she should join the cleaning squad. And this is not only for her sake, but for the entire cleanup and association department. Everyone was more or less friendly. Chief Park was already preparing to tell the girl about the cleaning process. But why did people with such a status come to help her, the girl wondered. Does this even happen? It was a little unexpected, but she was truly grateful. But she told everyone present that she had no intention of going any further. A week later, on a practical assignment, high-ranking people gathered to observe the process. Yu Bing finally came, surprising the guy. He already had doubts that she would continue to fight. No, to praise the girl. A kind word also pleases the cat. Although she is not here entirely of her own free will, the hero did not fully understand why this girl looked so confident and arrogant. It's obvious that she didn't get enough sleep, but there's a fire burning in her eyes. Was she really sacrificing sleep to study all this time? Well, we'll see soon. The girl was handed a test form, and she was still hoping for an apology from Kim. But this was not to be expected, but the guy admitted that there was some truth in her words. And while the girl was telling him something again, he noted that she did not communicate with him respectfully. And she constantly pokes him, what a little thing. In America, I'm used to the idea that a boss is a friend. Yu Bing ignored his words, only saying that she studied for a whole week thanks to very good and caring people. And they didn't want to tell the guy because they were colleagues. These words surprised him. The director, speaking into a megaphone, called all the participants. The practical task will be carried out in real dungeons, in which they will be accompanied by judges. When they enter, they will be given several tasks to test their skills. The assessment will be made according to how they resolve each one. Candidates should be careful and act without breaking the rules. One of the candidates asked the director whether they would go into the cleared dungeon or not. A very strange question, since clearing the dungeon is part of their task, so the dungeon is active. And considering that they are all former hunters, they shouldn't have any problems. The game has started, let's get to work. As soon as they entered the dungeon, the director set the first condition. Unforeseen circumstances arose and a call for help was received from the 4th Task Force, but there were no free teams now. What will the new recruits do? One of the guys suggested that they quickly finish the job in 20 minutes and go to help. The others didn't mind. And this was quite expected, Kim thought. Each of them was comparable in level to the leader of the detachment. And none of them is ready to give in to this test. The hero began to deduct points from the candidates. They don't understand that this is the wrong choice. At this rate, no one will understand the essence. And he can throw them all out. Suddenly Yu Bing abandoned their plan. She insisted that 20 minutes would not be enough for them. They will still need to double-check everything thoroughly after completion. But no one listened to her. Candidates began to mock her if they didn't manage to cope, then what was the point of becoming a janitor? If she's not sure, then it's better to go back. The majority agreed to organize a cleanup. Kim couldn't believe it, she gets the point. The others made a big mistake. The practical part of the task is not only about cleaning. It is important to be able to work in a team and evaluate strengths. It's simply impossible to finish cleaning in 20 minutes. The best solution would be not to rush headlong to help. Han Yubing immediately understood this. She has changed so much in a week. Since the dungeon was not cleared, a monster lived there. This did not surprise anyone, much less frighten anyone. They are all former hunters. Activating their skills, they took turns attacking the monster. And it was Yubing who dealt a crushing blow to the monster. One shouldn't have expected anything else from the huntress. She easily killed a high-level monster. Although for a huntress of international level, the reception was simple. But Junwoo did not agree with them. This simple trick certainly makes some sense. Next came the task from Kim. The director learned the tasks for checking candidates from the guy in advance and gave them to his ward. Just because he is a janitor, they cannot know the correct answer in advance. The man didn't understand, but the director told him that the new squad would do more important things than cleaning. And the director confirmed his words, but this will happen only after the completion of the interview and practical assignment. He proposed eliminating the practical task altogether, but it was not possible. However, he had a practical task document prepared by Kim Jun-woo for the cleaning squad. The purpose of the practical task was listed as testing the ability to effectively cope with non-standard situations that arise during cleaning dungeons. But it was classified and he couldn't tell anyone about it. The director really wanted to see his ward in this position. Like two fingers on the asphalt. He has already decided, since he knows the test, then victory is in his pocket. Kim began to announce the task. Due to the workload of the rest of the squads, they will have to clean up the dungeon alone, but they have limited time. Let them believe that all their comrades in the squad were killed, that is, each of them is alone here. They clear the dungeon and put it away in one helmet. Hearing this, the man was shocked, the same was not in the plan. And let the candidates hurry, they only have 20 minutes. Did they really think that the guy would just leave a sheet with all the tasks in front of everyone? These are the morons. After some time, Kang Woo-hyuk was the first to fail, refusing to participate. This idiot doesn't even know what to do with a rag. Next in line was Shin Tae-hwan. He was a former guild leader and an A-rank hunter. And now he has to get down on his knees and scrub the floor, unheard of. They only gave us 20 minutes and no help. What kind of circus have they staged here? It wasn't really a man screaming. He began to lose his temper and revealed that he had not been warned about this in advance. What a moron, the director thought. Tae-hwan was sure that this task was not for beginners, and he refused to do anything. Yu Bing, who was standing nearby, did not understand this old man's indignation. Does he agree that cleaning is more difficult than stripping? Since he gave up, Han Yu Bing was the last one left in line. Kim Jun-woo had already decided that she would refuse too. Even Shin Tae-hwan refused to complete this task. He was already ready to cross her out, but the girl immediately ran to work so as not to waste a second of the 20 minutes. She worked at great speed. The girl sprayed chemicals on the corpse and at the same time managed to cut it. It instantly blocks poisonous gas and blood from the corpse. And it does it incredibly quickly and efficiently. It's simply impossible. This is the level of a professional cleaner. Did her words about my team mean that they trained her? Now it was clear what she was muttering about. This little guy takes cleaning so seriously and even manages the time. At this rate she will be able to pass the test. Terrible. They were all supposed to fail under Kim's plan. Tae-hwan-wee was seething with anger. And he accused the cleaner of warning the girl, because only he knew about the task. The hero simply could not take his eyes off the man, he liked the look of his angry face so much. By that time, the girl had finished cleaning and put the man in his place. Why doesn't he just admit that cleaning is too much for him? A week was enough for her to learn everything. Now he will not consider himself smarter than everyone else. Let him come to terms with this. But just recently, when checking his competitors, the man was not at all worried about the girl, deciding that she would fail at the first opportunity. But Yu Bing decided everything for herself. He constantly shows off, so it suddenly seemed to her that he knows how to do something, if he shows off like that. But after what we saw, we can say with confidence that he was fired from his post as leader. The man was angry at her words. How dare she? This young girl is no match for him, and he doesn't just give up. The former guild leader activated the madness skill. He was the #1 berserker in the country for a reason. The former huntress was not affected by his words. He has no idea why she was fired from her previous job. Another chatty bastard. Tae-hwan underestimated her. The man attacked the girl using his skills, but the girl was not inferior to him. True, before things reached irreparable consequences, Kim Jun-woo intervened, using the hyper-acceleration skill. What the hell did they even do? They should calm down if they don't want problems. The guy pinned Tae-hwan to the ground, which surprised him very much. A simple cleaner cannot move at that speed. The man himself encountered such an attitude, and Kim's actions were self-defense. He even managed to calm Yu Bing down. Are all berserkers really such principled guys? The test is over. There's no point in continuing. Having left the dungeon, Jun-woo apologized to the girl. Hearing this, she screamed in surprise. At the interview, he treated her rudely, for which he apologized. Although she didn't show herself very well back then, today's result is simply magnificent, apart from the outburst of anger. The girl tried to explain the improvement in her results by saying that his colleagues helped her a little. But Kim understood that in the dungeon she did everything herself and no one helped her. So her teachers and family can be proud of her. Yu Bing decided to accept his apology. They won't see each other again anyway. She didn't need the job, she only came because of the apology. It was always like this for her. As soon as she took the test, she lost interest. And the cleaning squad is not what she imagined it to be. The work is dirty and difficult. After asking, she walked away. Such words surprised Kim very much, why she couldn't make up her mind. The next day, at the dungeon, Kim was attacked by Sang-hyuk. The hero has problems with his head, he's already gone. What was he thinking when he took Han Yu Bing to their team? The next day after the exam, the girl was lying on the sofa, glad that she was able to get an apology from this insolent person. But the unexpected happened. Suddenly she received a message asking for a job. What? At this time in the USA, New York, a certain manager was tearing up and throwing. Why the hell was the file saved? He ordered to get rid of him. The control group deleted all the data, but it turned out that the task force had a copy. But the man was not interested in why these excuses were needed. If the file gets to journalists, then they are finished. The manager of the control branch of the International Association of Hunters in New York turned out to be Jason. And if they already have the file, then it's strange that nothing came up. The leader of the support group of the International Association in New York, Chloe, listened to this entire tirade. Damn Han Yu Bin. Just a couple of months ago, there was a small incident where Han Yu Bin played the main role. During one of the operations against the monster, Yu Bing decided to take over the monster while her partner went and brought help. But her angel made a different decision. She pushed Yu Bing away from the monster and took the blow herself. She was worried about Yu Bing surviving. Hunter Yu Bing promised to quickly run for help, so that her friend does not die. Yu Bing was the team leader back then, and as soon as she left the dungeon, she called for help. But these freaks did not answer. Only after a while they told her that they could not send help, all the support units were busy. They went completely crazy there. They must have people in reserve. Let them send at least one person, the girl begged. But the answer was the same, they can't help. The manager was talking about some kind of madness. Because of just one person, they had to send people to an unprofitable dungeon and spend their entire budget on it. Just one crappy huntress from the Philippines cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. As a person who makes a profit from this, he believes that this girl is not worth it. She died anyway, so it didn't make any sense. Just money down the drain. And in the report they wrote that she died from an accident. The management didn't care what happened. So they falsified the report. And then Yu Bing just went crazy. The manager took advantage of this and kicked her out of the association. Then it seemed to him that everything had turned out just fine. But this bitch took a flash drive with documents with her. He had no idea how she found out what was on her, but if the truth was revealed, then all the facts of theft and corruption would come to light. You need to return the flash drive in any way. Chloe offered to negotiate with the girl. But Jason didn't want to listen. With her character, she will never negotiate. They decided to track her location and trial based on the information in the database. Yubin is working for the association again. She returned to Korea and now works there. This is impossible, they took away the girl's license. But it turned out that everything was not so simple here, and she joined the cleaning team. This is a turn, this crazy woman has become a scrubber. But then the manager remembered something. They are also planning a joint operation with the Korean association. If he means the loop dungeon, then the Koreans never contacted them. He was not satisfied with this answer, and he ordered his assistant to deal with it herself. Everything must be done to make this operation take place. He has clearly outlined his goal and Yubing has no chance to hide from him. The man was looking forward to their soon meeting. Yubin has been officially working in the cleanup department for a week now. Everything went according to plan. Kim was promoted to team leader and soon planned to unlock more skills. The head of the third cleanup group is Kim Jun-W. It certainly doesn't sound bad, but, on the other hand, no one really cares about this position. The team noticed that the guy began to behave differently and now had to be persuaded to work. Han Sang-hyuk was indignant. What an asshole. As soon as I got the position, I immediately stopped working. So-yun didn't like the boys bickering. The monster's body has already literally petrified, so much so that it can no longer be cut. Let them stop sorting things out and get on with important things. What does this guy allow himself? Why is he talking to him like that? He's the boss here. It seemed to the hero that with the new position it would be easier for him to fulfill the conditions for unlocked skills. Yes, he is a boss, a senior, but still a cleaner. And he cannot in any way influence the baptism at headquarters. Kim received a call from Pyok Chong-hyun with information about new dungeons. He suggested that the task force and the cleaner team up, if they were free, of course. But their work was in full swing, and they could not quit it. Hearing this, Chong-hyun was going to send 2 task forces, but the guy had a different plan, as this would throw off the entire schedule of the cleaners. Jun-woo called Han Yubin and when he heard from her that she and the team were going to lunch, he ignored the fact that she had been working tirelessly before. And he gave her a new dungeon. In an orderly tone, the guy demanded that they clear it as quickly as possible. The girl was simply furious at his words. Why the hell does he constantly harness her? She's not his horse. No one from her team dreams of working without rest. Kim explained the situation. They don't have other groups that could restore order and hang up the monster. He will of course come as soon as he finishes his dungeon. But if the girl can't do it, then he will find someone who can handle it. Maybe he overestimated her. These words made her agree, but she realized his trick and now owes him a favor. Kim assigned all the difficult dungeons last week to Han Yubin. Now there is not a single team that has a double workload. Even Sang-hyuk noticed that he works less now, especially since he only returned from vacation. They've had almost no processing lately. Recently, Yubing's squad was doing double work, so now everyone is working the same way. Thanks to this, the replica skill was unlocked, due to satisfaction with the work of the cleaning squad over 30%. This is a huge advantage of Jun-woo's position. Now he can stop doing the work he doesn't want to do. One could rely on the 6th cleanup group. At Boss Pak's house, his son ran up to him and handed his dad a janitor's suit before another day of work. Taking the uniform in his hands, Puck was surprised at how bad its condition was. He told his son that he no longer needed this uniform. The boy was afraid that his father was fired, but everything was much better. Now Chief Park became the cleaning manager and, as befits his title, began to wear suits. An impressive promotion for a man. Cleanup Department Manager Park Guntae. The former team happily greeted the man and praised him. Appearance and congratulations on your promotion. Today is Manager Guntae's first day in her new position. After wishing everyone a good day, he went to work. A meeting of the management and planning department began. including the main leaders of the operational groups of hunters. The topic of the meeting is the operations department. The leaders of the 5th and 4th divisions, Kim Min-kyung and Chu Ji-young, did not agree with the representative's decision. After all, destroying monsters should be a priority for the association. Therefore, it is strange that Kim Jun-woo was appointed to the position of group leader. They always take days off whenever they want. And as a result, due to such delays in work, sometimes operations have to be rescheduled. As a result, efficiency decreases. Everyone attacked Mr. Pyong. He must first of all think about the hunters who are trying on the front line. The guy was embarrassed and confirmed their words that the hunters, of course, are a priority, but given the busy schedule of the cleaning squad, they will have to avoid inconsistencies in the schedule. The hunters were not satisfied with this answer. They are just cleaners, why now should they adapt to them? The hunter's schedule had to come first, they decided for themselves. This is all Kim Jun-woo's doing. Why do they even have to coordinate the schedule with the cleaners? Moreover, he has not been working in the association for so long and knows little. None of them could have imagined that the cleaning squad could do something like this. In any case, all this chaos is happening because some idiot was put in charge of the squad, another guy spoke out. Min-ju sat silently at first, but the last words made her speak out. Although she understood their indignation, this goes beyond all boundaries. Idiot. Decline in the efficiency of the operations department. Haven't they seen this week's report? They started shouting at her, saying that she should not be in the same boat with them and should agree with the opinion of the majority. But this was absolute stupidity. The girl took out 2 huge folders with documents and read out the information on the first page. It said that the number of dungeons cleared had increased by 30% this month. This is an incredible result. So Min-ju didn't understand what they meant by a decline in efficiency. They have never achieved such productivity before. The leader of the first task force, Lee Soo-young, wanted to shut the girl up. What can she allow herself, especially since the month is not over yet? But all these are empty words. This week they conquered 100 dungeons. And they didn't have any problems or difficulties in any damn dungeon. It is also worth considering the increase in work productivity by 30% and the absence of force majeure. How dare these hunters call a person who showed such indicators an idiot? This is real idiocy, the girl noted. Yes, she understands that few people like Kim Jun-woo as a person, but do not forget that he was appointed by the management department. Maybe they are now doubting their decisions. Why is it difficult for them to help each other? They all work in the same organization. But everything was useless. And Min-ju's words passed by with difficulty. The hunters continued to stick to their ideas and did not want to adapt to the cleaners. Moreover, she was told to adapt to the cleaners herself. Let him do all this alone. Since she is on the side of the cleaners, she will adapt to them herself. Other units will not tolerate this. The 5th squad also refuses, as does the 8th. With no intention of saying any more, the squad leaders walked away from the meeting, leaving Kim Min-ju to deal with it herself. Finding the guys at the door, assistant manager Hwang Dong-wai from the management team entered. They received a call from the American branch. Soo-young tensed slightly upon hearing this. The CEO is not at the meeting now and Lee Soo-young is now in charge of holding it. But the assistant had doubts. He has no right to change their schedule without the consent of the boss. It is unlikely that he will be able to give an exact answer now. Soo-young promised to send the guy the director's contact information. At this time, the hunters stood not understanding what was happening. Why are the states calling here? It turns out that they want to carry out the cleanup together with them and ask permission. But since everyone just refused to participate in the raid, so the second detachment under the leadership of Kim Min-ju will be responsible for the raid. The faces of the other hunters showed that they were shocked and angry. And what is it, now they decided to adapt to the cleaner schedule. Soo-young agreed to bring in a second squad, but the dungeon is not easy. And they will need a separate person in charge of planning the cleanup. Again he decided to intervene. Min-ju slipped through. He changes his shoes on the go. Assistant Hwang agreed with the man and suggested that Kim Jun will be appointed to this position. Manager Soo-young apparently proposed his candidacy, because after the guy's words his face turned red. The hero had just arrived at the new dungeon, where Yubin had previously sent a team, and was surprised why this former huntress of the International Association had taken so long to clear everything here. Yubing was surprised by his words, as it was quite difficult to neutralize the monster. To which the guy suggested that she use her skills. It is obvious that she is a berserker, and if the girl used all her strength, the monster's corpse would now be a pile of mincemeat. The girl did not agree with him, since cleaning would have become much more difficult. Kim praised her for her words. This is a good answer for the exam, but not for real work. Cleaning dungeons should not reduce the efficiency of work, because clearing always comes first. The association found out about a new dungeon in Seoul. This type of dungeon is not often seen in America, so they have little experience. That's why they decided to provide a joint raid. Mr. Pyong gave them Kim's number and suggested that the association talk to the guy. A loop dungeon awaited them. This means that if the monsters are not damaged according to the rules, the dungeon will return to its original position and the number of returns is infinite. If you do not meet the deadline and do not comply with all the conditions, the cleanup may never end. Even in his previous life, in order to conquer this dungeon, Kim had to clear it at least 100 times. It was absolute hell. Therefore, the association suggested that they conduct a joint cleanup. They should be grateful for this, but for some reason they always mind their own business. Before his regression, it was the same under the pretext of gaining experience. They asked for a joint raid. And they secretly stole the time stone, which can only be found in this dungeon. Of course, when this became known, the entire headquarters was hit hard. And the director lost his temper with the guy. The headquarters was responsible for raid planning and control, but for some reason all the dogs were unleashed on the hunters. He was deceived that time, but now, knowing their motives, he has no reason to accept their offer. This is exactly what he told the manager, politely refusing. He said that for this operation they would have enough of their own forces. These words surprised the man very much. How dare he refuse? Maybe such a sudden offer just confused him. The man assured him that they intended to support this operation financially. Moreover, he is ready to transfer money to the guy's personal account. Kim didn't expect this, because this didn't happen last time. Do they really think they can buy it for a handful of dollars? But the proposal turned out to be much more interesting. $1 million is $1.25 billion. The guy was even thinking about agreeing when he received a message from Kim Min-ju. In the message, she said that all the other squads had staged a boycott and the leader of the raid would be Jun-woo. What the hell happened at the meeting? And the hero agreed to the association's proposal to conduct a joint raid. There was just one problem. Since this dungeon wasn't going to be easy, it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a cleaning squad along with you. And preferably one that can help them clean up. Kim immediately realized that it would be possible in this case to use a new detachment and suggested them. Satisfied with his answer and having achieved his goal, the manager hung up. Pondering what had happened, Kim was deciding how to change his work schedule in order to take a new group with him, when he realized that the association from the USA was Yubin's former colleagues. Is it worth the risk in taking her for this operation? A week later, on the day of the joint operation with the US Association, the team of hunters and cleaners was assembled. While the cleanup team was collecting all the necessary chemicals for the job, the hunters and high-ranking officials from the US Association had been talking for over an hour. Such a solemn meeting. But joint operations with other associations are not a common occurrence, so they are understandable. Rules for clearing dungeons vary, so it's important to discuss everything. Moreover, a dungeon of this type requires special preparation. Because if you make a mistake, you can get stuck in it forever. These words greatly surprised Kim's team. But what can you do? There are no guarantees in this raid. And why is he only escalating the situation? It is unlikely that So-yeon will be able to work normally after his words. In addition, guys from the States will work with them. What can happen? Even though he just wanted to joke about it, there was a hunter who cleared the dungeon 1,500 times, and eventually went crazy. This type of dungeon is very dangerous. However, they do not have any information, but given that the hero conquered this dungeon in a past life, he knows all the nuances. However, if he knows something that the guys from America don't know, it will arouse suspicion. In addition, Kim Min-ju needs to gain more experience, so it is better to delegate this task to her. Meanwhile, he will quietly get the time stone. On the way to the hero, Yu Bing came across him in a rage. Why on earth didn't manager Kim tell her that they had to work with these freaks from America? Kim expected such a reaction, so he didn't say anything. And the team just enjoyed their skirmish. Feelings are feelings, but you need to treat it professionally. But Yu Bing thought that there was a trick to be expected from American friends. However, they should not cause problems during a raid. Let's see how long they can stay there. Han Yubin worries Kim because he couldn't figure out what she was thinking. The leaders of the American Association also seem to have drawn up their plan. If the operation goes poorly, it will affect the cleanup department. Kim cannot lose the success and small power for which he has been puffing for so long. Manager Jason, along with Chloe from the support department, approached Kim and his team for a personal introduction. Jason expressed his admiration, since he had heard a lot about the guy as a talented person. There was a small clash between the manager and Yu Bing. Jason was glad to see him on the team, because everything was going according to his plan. Yu Bing was not happy with this set of circumstances. But nothing can be done. It is worth separating personal and work. Jason even apologized for the situation with Angel and casually asked if the girl had grabbed anything when she left. But she denied it. After saying goodbye, the manager made it clear that he did not want any problems during this raid and hoped for successful cooperation. Having moved a decent distance away, Jason ordered Chloe to get the time stone by any means. In the meantime, he will take care of the data that this little flea stole. Kim Min-ju stood opposite the squad to give a briefing before the cleanup began. Today's dungeon is a 2-zone loop dungeon. Yes, there are not many of them, but they should not face problems if they act together. But considering that the dungeon can return to its original position, moreover, they don't know how long they will stay there. Therefore, Min-ju urgently asked the hunters to try to attack as efficiently as possible and save their strength. They must work together to clear the dungeon in accordance with the requirements of the U.S. Association. It's time to begin. 3 hours later, the hunting team made their final attack, activating the Thousand Arms skill. Keep it up. After destroying the first boss, Min-ju's team reported to Jun-woo about their work. After listening to everything, he suggested that they help the second subgroup, and not get into a fight with small monsters. The cleaning also progressed according to the assigned course. They have already finished in the large and one of the small rooms. But the main thing is not to forget to write down the exact time and number of loops. So Yun will check the number of people and their status with each new loop. Kim gave the order not to dismember the corpses of small monsters. It will be much easier to just burn them. It is worth trying not to break away too much from the operational detachment. And Ha Yubin was entrusted with making the dungeon map. With her new skills, this shouldn't be difficult. She was slightly confused by this, since this is the job of a manager. She's too smart, Kim thought. Currently, the second task force under the leadership of Kim Min-ju is cleaning up, and the guys from America are helping in the rear. At the very end, a detachment of cleaners comes and cleans up the mess. And it seems that the raid goes without problems, but Jun-woo was very stressed by this mustachioed redhead Jason. Some time ago, the hero noticed that the manager was watching his every move. If his goal was only the time stone, then he would not be so worried about the cleaners. So there's something else here. Either way, they won't be able to get the stone while he's here. The hunting team checked the remaining rooms, only one remained. Most likely the boss is here. Continuing to be in touch by radio, the second task force entered the boss's room, but he was not yet visible. Don't let your guard down, it's most likely a trap. The monster was approaching from above, everyone took cover. Oh no. Thinking over his plan, the manager did not understand why the hell this janitor was staring at him. At this rate, he won't be able to do anything. This idiot Kim Jun is kind of weird. Watches his every move. He literally devours him with his gaze. We need to figure out how to get rid of him. At this time, Jun-woo contacted Min-ju by radio to clarify the situation, as terrible sounds were coming from the boss's room. After some time, the girl answered him and reported that the cleanup was completed. But her voice was depressed. What happened there? As soon as Kim entered this part of the dungeon, he understood everything. The team had casualties among the hunters, and in general it was not a simple cleanup. Tears streamed down Kim Min-ju's face. Everything happened so suddenly that she didn't even have time to call teacher Jun-woo. But the guy blamed himself for what happened. He shouldn't have hoped that the two groups would easily cope with the strong monsters. But he did not analyze the skills of the guys from America, since all his thoughts were occupied with the time stone. A warning appeared: the conquest of this dungeon failed due to non-compliance with the conditions. Failure. And within 5 seconds the return will be completed. Well, the comeback begins. The dead were covered up, and members of the hunting team apologized for what happened. It seems that the American friends from the association did not expect this. They even organized an urgent meeting. And since this dungeon is not an easy one, the cleaners were accompanied, or rather covered the rear, by hunters from the United States. The second task force is physically normal, but mentally they are simply crushed. Besides, Kim Min-ju is losing a bit. It sucks. Despite the fact that she is the leader of the group, no one can survive the death of a subordinate. For her own good, she shouldn't get involved in this. All that now worried the girl was the weakness of the Atlantean golem. What's the best way to weaken this monster? There's a beauty in the fact that they're in a loop dungeon. Sooner or later, she set herself the goal of destroying this creature. Jun-woo decided that she had not yet come to her senses. Now she should think about cleaning up, not revenge. She's the leader. And she shouldn't endanger others. Let him come to his senses and analyze the situation. This is her responsibility as a commander. But he could not leave her without advice. The first one waiting for them is a boss golem emitting blue light. The second is a golem that attacks with red light. They don't have any special features. The guy asked what happened after they defeated them. It turned out that the blue one simply collapsed and glowed bright blue. And the second one is red, that's all. Kim decided to give the hunter an idea about why they emit different light. The system window that appeared upon return also glowed blue. If you think about it like that, there was no red light anywhere. Perhaps the blue light is a clue. Min-ju assumed that the blue golem should be killed first, but this was an erroneous judgment. But no, they need to be killed at the same time. After listening to his instructions, the girl called a briefing. This time they decided to split into 2 teams and attack simultaneously. After the bosses appear, the radio signal will disappear. Therefore, we should launch an attack together and do everything in order to keep it within 20 minutes. Our guys are physically excluded. But they know how to deal with the bosses, and with the support of American hunters they must cope. This time no one should get hurt. Min-ju asked the guy to give them Yubin to help. They don't have any melee fighters right now, and it will be difficult to get it done in 20 minutes. Manager Jason agreed with Manager Min-ju. Besides, Yubing had worked with them before, so everything should go smoothly. But there was a catch: her hunter's license was invalid. In addition, Hunter Kim did not want to send her with the American group. But Yubing didn't seem to care. The main thing is to get out of this ass as quickly as possible. The guy wasn't worried about this, because the main thing was to focus on cleaning up. And they don't have much choice. New victims cannot be allowed. Now it's time to see what Americans are capable of. The monster was advancing, but the hunters worked tirelessly in using their best skills. It was clear that Min-ju was not entirely attentive. There was not enough firepower during the attack. No wonder, everyone is tired. The boss was advancing, and the hunters were gathering for cover. Leader Min-ju took the blow and began to fall, flying away from the boss's force. At the last moment, Jun-woo caught her and used his fire skill. Although he helped her, she had to defeat the monster herself with the help of a sword. And if she doesn't defeat the boss, she will set up the rest of the hunters. But her right, dominant hand, was injured. How should she attack? However, Jun-woo knew that she had been practicing with the sword in her left hand as well, due to a previous injury. She must do this today to protect the team. If it was the Min-ju that the guy knew before the regression, then they would not have had a chance to win. But now this is not the same Kim Min-ju. In this reality, she is his student. She became a master of the sword, activating a skill that fights equally well with any hand. This was the first part. If you are waiting for the second, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.
So, that wraps up this chapter, folks. I'm concluding the video right here. Stay tuned for the thrilling developments in the next episode. And don't forget to show your support with a like and subscribe, fueling my motivation to bring you even more captivating comic chapters in the future. Until next time, happy reading!